democracy and ever-changing bills and computer terminology. Commodore news. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up with the Commodore? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you. Are you keeping up? Yes, the Commodore is keeping up with you.
Hello and welcome to episode 181 of Zapped to the Past. I am Adrian Mills. I'm joined as always by Mr. Graham Raddings. If you have not listened before, this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. We're using the magazine Zap 64 as a monthly guide for the games to focus on, but we are in no way affiliated with Zap 64 itself. This week, we start our look at June 1991 and the first batch of games reviewed in issue 74 of Zap 64, along with what was also going on in the UK singles and albums chart that month. Graham, tell us whether the summer brings joy and sunshine into our lives, or another soggy downpour of despair.
The summer breeze is starting to brush our cheeks, facial cheeks, and we're seeing a bit more of our favourite fireball, which must mean it's June 1991. So in a month, where Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines erupted for the first time, we put on our lab coats, dig out some welding goggles, and head to the puzzling particle-filled worlds of chemistry and physics as we explore really complex, super tiny stuff in Atomino, and then quickly embiggen ourselves, grab our best shiny light blue armour, and take a knee toddle down some endless corridors of nowhere interesting, dodging fireballs and lunging at someone called Two Swords in Great Gurianos. Goodness me, do you know the eruption of Mount Pinatubo released roughly 10 billion tonnes of magma, 20 million tonnes of sulfur dioxide, and it ejected more particulates into the stratosphere than any eruption since Krakatoa in 1883. Indeed, global temperatures dropped by about half a degree centigrade in the years 1991 to 1993 as a result. So while we grab our winter coats, we grab our balls and head out to the first-person football pitches as we go for a kickabout in a whole new dimension with the interesting I Play 3D Soccer, before finally heading to the troubled streets of 90s Los Angeles, seeing if we want some candy and nipping off for a beef sandwich in the somewhat confusing Anytime world of Predator 2. The Predators have mastered interstellar travel, advanced weaponry, and complex stealth technology. All those advances, and yet they still mess about with the crappy voice samples for a goof and enjoy a good old beef and horseradish sandwich. Blimey, even I could do that. Does that make me an honorary Predator? Well, it can't be worse than May, but we said that about February.
I'm lost. You jump in months.
Well, because February was a bit of a stinker, as I remember. I think February was
probably. There's not many months which aren't at the moment.
No, we're getting there. We are at the bottom of the pond, aren't we? But
yeah, we're sliding down the other side of the bell curve quite quickly, aren't we?
We are.
But every now and again, though, something interesting does pop up.
Yeah, it does. That's very true. It does.
It does. Yep. It is the start of the month. It is the start of June. So, as ever, we have our due diligence to do, and that is look at the cover.
We do.
So, have a look at the cover. It's an Ollie Frey cover. He's back, this time in Soldiers and Horses form.
Yeah, for Civil War, in it, the North and South game, I guess.
It is indeed, yeah. And this is the difference we were kind of making, because those horses look like they're moving.
Yes, they are very much. There's there's always an explosion in the background in Ollie Frey covers.
There's an explosion. Well. There's dirt coming up off the floor. Everything looks like good, it's actually in action. And I think it's a good. I mean, the cover, the bit which he's drawn, obviously, which is top right, it's really good. It's a really good. Like the horses look panicked.
Yeah,
it's
they do.
It's a cracking, sort of charge of. Is it Confederates, I think?
That's Confederates, I think, yeah. They're a bit nondescript because I don't think it would be wholly appropriate to put the Confederate Army on the front of anything, really, given what they represented. But I think that flag does not look like the Confederate flag. In fact, if anything, it looks like, I don't know, the flag of some nondescript country.
It is. But they are in light blue, which was the Confederate colours.
It is, yeah. They're wielding swords and pistols and all that kind of malarkey.
Yeah. That horse is going, hey!
Yeah, the horses do that. They do that.
He looks a bit surprised, but it is a good drawing. I really do like that. So back to like I said, that oomph, this feeling of movement and everything there. And like you said, a massive explosion in the background,
Yes.
which is good.
Excellent.
Also of note, and a pleasing thing for you, Graham, they've lost the box.
I know, the box is dead. Thank God. Been asking for that to be got rid of for how long now? And finally, it's gone. The box is gone. Praise be, the box is gone. I hated it.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got an outline on things now, which is also, by the way, not exactly right, but I'll let that go for now. I'll let that go.
Yeah, that's all right. I like the way that the Zap 64 is behind the sword as well, sword and the gun.
Yeah, it's back that part of it, actually. It's back to being a little bit on form. They've gone text mad, though. Whenever they do that, whenever all these phrase covers come on and they're really good, they then go text mad and cover them all in writing. It's like, just chill out a bit.
Is. It's got a statement at the top, fact, the original and best Commodore 64 action mag.
What does that mean?
I don't know. What's action mean?
Action mag. Action mag.
I don't know.
I suppose it's Commodore 64 action, the stuff that's going on, I guess, in that context.
The best Commodore 64 action mag, not an action mag.
Action mag. And there's just, has the price drop? £2.20 seems cheaper.
No, it's gone up. Gone up.
Okay.
It was $175 last month, or $195.
Gracious me.
It's gone up to £2.20 because there's inside as well, just to sort of speak about, we don't normally speak about the interior, but the inside of the magazine is a complete revamp. It's all changed because they've changed the whole layout of stuff, how they present things. It's kind of actually quite handy when I was going through the magazines, and I'm not wholly a fan of it, but they've got like banner headline stuff, so it says reviews, news on each page. So you can know when you're spotting a review. It's like, it got to a point where it was like quite hard sometimes to spot something was a review and stuff, which is much better. And they've dropped everything that's not Commodore 64. The Amiga's gone.
Wow. Okay. Why did they do that? Do we know?
I've no idea. I thought it was because at this point Newsfield are struggling. But I wondered if Newsfield had launched an Amiga magazine and had shifted stuff over. But no, they haven't.
No, they haven't. Wow. No. Okay. So there was no. What would they have called it? You had Zap Crash. The original name for Amstrad one was going to be, was it Wallop or
it's
Bang?
Amsix,
or whatever?
Isn't it? But it
no,
came out as Amsix.
But I know. But originally, when they talked about it was Zap Crash and another
Crash Bang Wallop, Crash Zap Wallop. Yeah.
So maybe Amiga one was, what was the Amiga one? Splodge, Ploof, Bump, Wang.
I don't know. What are the Amiga chips called? What are the chips in the Amiga called?
Polar.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good name, would it? Blitter, Blatter, Blam.
Blam. It could have been Blam, couldn't it?
Amiga. You got AM in there, so it's
Amiga Blam. Anyway, it didn't do that.
It didn't happen. No, it didn't happen. But they've just switched back to, I don't know, because there's no editorial or anything. I was looking through the magazine to see if I could read something as to why they've switched, but I couldn't find anything. And I don't know. I think it's just maybe costs. I think they're losing money hand over fist at this point. We'll see that rear its head in about 3 issues' time, because I think they go bust in September.
Oh, lovely.
So,
they really are in that money.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But I mean, they're giving stuff away. There's 22 C64 games tested. That's quite a lot, isn't it? 22.
Yeah, I think, they obviously put that on afterwards as a sticker, didn't they, on the front cover? So
yeah, how many? They've just put 60. They've put C64 games Zap tested, and then they've left the number bit. How many?
That's fair. But yeah, North and South made them obviously on the front there. You've got a mega tape, Iridis Alpha on that tape, I see.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad, is it, really? Getting I mean, it drove
you're just
me
annoyed
mad.
about. Yeah, I was going to say, just annoyed at the whole audience base. They all got mad at you instantly. Oh, it's so hard.
It did drive me mad. Something called Spellcast.
Never heard of that. Or
that,
Steel.
Was Spellcast the one? It's Genesis. It's the thing you wanted. It's the one that never came out by the people who did CJ's Elephant Antics.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe yes. Could be.
I think it was the demo of that.
I'm in the tradition of That's Life. I'm sorry. I really don't know what you mean.
Well, I think it is, because I remember us talking about that at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
And Steel was that budget racket Houston game by Gary Biasello, what his name was,
that's
with
right.
the cute robots that look like the robots from Black Hole.
Right. Okay. Yes, I remember it now.
Very colourful.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful
Very
plumage.
colourful.
Yeah.
Beautiful plumage, yeah. So that's what's on the. It says 3 complete games, but I don't think Spellcast is. I'm not sure about that.
I don't know. They can't say if it isn't true, surely.
I don't know. It's weird, isn't it?
I also noticed it says win 2 disk drives from Mindscape. Why wouldn't you just win 1? I think winning 2 seems superfluous. So like, what am I going to do with the other one? I don't know.
Drive 8, drive 9.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you've for all those game times when you've needed 2 discs in at the same time, which is very low. It says not many 2-disc games, really.
And if they are, it's on both sides. So you'd have to split your disc down the middle really finely. With
Bloody double density, double-sided double density discs.
Yeah,
Honestly.
split the disc. If you wanted, I mean, what games we've got? Gauntlet 3, US Gold's Magical Sizzler. We'll see about that next week.
Okay. Yeah.
I Play 3D Soccer. Amazing Italian footy sim.
That's how Gary Lineker explains everything. I play 3D soccer. You do, Gary.
You play? No, I don't.
No.
I don't like it.
The way it works, Gary, is that you play the football. I just watch you play the football. You play?
You play. We play.
No. For goodness sake, Gary, will you put your bloody football boots on your feet, not on your hands?
And put your bloody shorts up.
And he was wearing his shin pads as ear pads for about 2 months, and we didn't tell him. What's the point? He ain't going to change. That Gary Lineker, he ain't going to change for no one, is he?
No, you don't want to know where he's wearing his cup.
You're right, I don't.
No one wants to know that. Gary protected.
It just smelt faintly of something nondescript for quite some time. Vinegar.
Absolutely.
An odd smell of vinegar about it.
There's also a game called Spike in Transylvania.
Okay.
And one we'll look at in a minute, Atomino.
Now, just as an aside, I just wanted to ask you something because you're a man of literary skill.
I'm a man of the world.
It says Codemaster's latest hit. Is that right? I don't know, just the apostrophe at the end of Codemasters. Is that needed?
Yeah, because it's Codemasters, I guess, isn't it?
I know, but aren't they called Codemasters?
Yeah, that's their name, isn't it? The apostrophe at the end you would need it because Codemasters is their singular name.
Yeah.
So it would need one. Otherwise, because if you put it, it'd be Codemaster would be the name of...
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, whether they even needed it at all, whether it was like one of those situations where you don't really need an apostrophe. It just confuses everybody, but it could be right.
Well, it's like Signosis. They've got one as well. Signosis, perplexing puzzler.
Signosis is.
Signosis.
Yeah, because it's the sizzler of US Gold. It's the hit from Codemasters. It's the perplexing puzzler of Signosis. I guess so. Yeah, I just wondered because you know what? They're not always good at that. They're not always good at that. And then
no, they're not. But I do in that situation. I think that is the correct usage.
It's all going on.
It is. Codemasters. They do always have a capital M though in the middle. That's interesting.
I guess they do.
I'm going to say yes.
Pipe down there, smoking monkey.
Yeah. Oh dear. But there we go. Right. So that's the cover, I think.
Yeah. Good cover. Back on form. Good cover. Nice to see the box from the logo gone finally. Good. Been praying for that. Good.
It is gone.
Never needed it.
So indeed we didn't. So with that out of the way, should we get in some games? We've got 4 to get through. All right, let's get to that very, very first game. And that first game is Atomino. Atomino.
Atomino.
Atomino. Atomino, whatever, yeah. Atomino, Atomano, who knows?
Tomato.
Who knows? It was £9.99 and it got 93%. It's a sizzler.
Hey, good.
Sizzling Atominos. Single screen puzzlers set in chemistry labs. It seemed to be a little subgenre all of its own back then. We've had a few of these kind of weird things.
True.
Here we are once again, messing around with chemical elements and atoms and electrons in another single-screen puzzler in the shape of Atomino. Now, I thought, and I said this last week, this was going to be something to do with dominoes. It just sounds like Triominos, Atomino.
It does sound like that. It does.
Yeah, but I was wrong. No. This is all chemistry-based. And after we saw Einstein's face in games like Emotion and Atomics, the ones I can remember, we now have Atomino. $9.99, as I said, 93%. This was published by Signosis. It's copyright Playbyte. The concept is by Gamoware, which sounds like something you'd have in The Simpsons or something. Gamoware. It's like a crap console you'd buy from China. It's like one of those things you'd buy and you'd have like 100 games on it. It's not Super Mario. It's Super Barrio.
Yeah, it's it's from Temu definitely or something or equivalent.
Yeah, absolutely. The coder here was Tobias Hare. H-E-R-R-E. I don't know how to pronounce that. Graphics by Uwe Beneke. And the musician here was Volker Strubing.
Good name.
So you with an umlaut, and so all bets are off. The cover was done by Silal Miraglu.
Oh, that one. Ah, yeah.
So none of them, aside from the cover artist, have done it. Have got no other C64 credits that I found. And after playing this, I'm going to say that is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Because this is really rather good. So what is Atomino then? There's a small intro at the start of the detailed instructions. The instructions for this are really good. And it says the following. In Atomino, your task is to combine atoms into molecules. Now, we all know that atoms are normally on the small side, and they appear to spend most of their time aimlessly flying around, a fact that complicates their handling. Therefore, in Atomino, we have objects which look like atoms, smell like atoms, and, just like real atoms, have the capability of combining with one another. They are, to all intents and purposes, atoms, apart from the size factor, of course. These atoms have a valence. Look it up. And I did. Okay, so this is what valence means. I didn't know what it meant, so I'm just going to read you what a valence is. In chemistry, valence refers to an atom's combining power with other atoms. It's also known as valency. Valence is determined by the number of electrons in an atom's outermost shell, or valence shell. It's the number of chemical bonds an atom typically forms. Double bonds count as 2 bonds, triple bonds as 3, and so on.
Yes, there you go. Excellent.
And the valency of an element is related to its position in the periodic table.
Okay, makes sense.
There you go. So these atoms have a valence of 1 to 4. They can combine with 1, 2, 3, or even 4 other atoms. So let me explain. The instructions say, imagine these atoms as small, naked, spherical, swarming beings, each armed with up to 4 hands. When 2 swarmers shake hands, it's when 2 atoms combine, each now has 1 less free hand. Henceforth, free hands will be called free combinations. Otherwise, this manual may begin to sound kind of silly. A complete molecule is defined simply as a structure of atoms in which there are no more free combinations. Warning, for demonstration purposes only, this packaging contains some sample atoms in original size. Find them if you can. The instructions are quite good. I like them. So, you got all that? Good. When the game loads, you get a nice title screen, a rather harried-looking, classical-style, old-looking scientist with his hands over his head, looking all panicked in shades of grey over a nice drawn and colourful logo. The intro flips between this image and the well-presented and animated high-score table. It's nicely themed with the little image of the scientist looking over the scores and the colours of grey and blue cycling through those high scores. Over this, we have a fun, upbeat, up-tempo tune that plays, and I was strongly reminded that this probably could have been a rock monitor tune. It had the sound of a rock monitor tune, but I could be wrong. It just had that crunchy guitar and drum sounds that rock monitor tunes kind of had from that period. It's good though. If you leave the title screen long enough, you even get a demo being played. All great. It's all nice. It shows you how to play the game. Good stuff. It's really well presented, but once you've seen all that, you can press fire and it gets us some options, and we can choose to play with the music off or on, sound effects off or on. It's nice to get both at the same time. You can change the colours of the atoms from strong reds and greens and blues to the more lighter shades of them. And we can choose to play game mode A or B. I'll come to those in a bit. We can also enter a password to start from later levels in mode A, I think, which is always a great touch. And finally, we can just start the game. Now, I'll start with mode A because essentially mode B is just endless mode. So it just plays the same as mode A, just without the levels. It's just keep going, which is fine. Starting the game brings us to the game screen. And so what we have here is a blank square in the middle. This is actually a grid of 8x7 squares, giving us a total of 56 grid spaces to play with. Before we get to play, we get an instruction for that level. And these can be any sort of combination of sort of any of the following 3. So we could get an instruction to say, create X number of molecules with at least Y number of atoms. Okay. It can say complete the given pattern, or it can say make the given atoms disappear. So we need to get rid of some stuff. So the first one will ask you to make. So when the game first starts, it just says make 3 molecules. At first, you don't get the with a number of atoms addition. As you progress, that starts to come into it. So it'll say create 3 molecules with at least 7 atoms. So you've got to put them, you've got to at least have 7 in there to actually progress. And this number goes up as you progress. Completing the given pattern gives you a limited amount of spaces on the grid. So the second one, complete the given pattern, that gives you a limited amount of spaces that you can play atoms in on the grid, and you must fill it with a completed molecule to progress. The first one's really easy. and you'll get the hang of that. But as they move on, you have to use some of the abilities, the main ability in this to sort of get through it. And it gets quite tricky as it progresses. The final instruction, this places atoms on the grid that are screwed down. So they've got a big screw through them, and you have to incorporate those into a completed molecule to progress. Okay, you can't get rid of them. They're there. Okay, so we have our instruction at the start. Pressing fire starts the game. The grid, as noted, is blank. Above it, we have your score, and to the left there are 4 words. These are size, left, set, and extra. It's only the first word. It says EXTR, but it's extra. To the right of the grid is the atom delivery tube, and this shows the current atom that you're going to place in the grid.
Okay.
So on the grid, what you control, you'll see a number, and this number corresponds to the valence, if you remember that, of the atom at the bottom of the tube. You can move this number around with the joystick, up, down, left, and right, and pressing fire places that atom in the grid. The valence of the atom is shown in some little flying dots that circle the atom, which is a ball of a certain colour. So in the base version, blue is 1 valence, red has 2, green are 3, finally yellow are 4. Very easy to read, very easy to get the hang of. You know what they kind of are. And these little sort of like little orbiting moons going around them.
Yeah.
Very easy to see. And as you sort of link them up with the other ones, one of them will disappear. So you can easily read when a atom has some valence left. When this is placed, the next atom appears in the chute. You don't get to see it at first. You can play it a little bit, but you don't at first. And then you need to place this in the grid. Should you place it next to an atom with an available connection, then the two will join together, and this will start to form a molecule. The more valence the atom has, the more connections it will need. So a blue will only connect to one other atom, reds connect to 2, greens to 3, and finally yellows will need connections in all 4 directions. They only connect up, down, left, and right, not diagonally. Okay, so that's how this progresses. When the game starts, you are just tasked with getting a couple of molecules. In order to do this, you just create a series of atoms where all the connections are done, and there are no spare valence left. Once all of them are connected, that entire molecule disappears from the grid, and you continue on until you have met the required brief for that level. And then you move on to the next one with a different set of instructions to meet. The words on the left will slowly start to come into play. So the size will indicate the number of atoms that you have that have to be in the molecule to qualify. So after a few rounds, you'll need to create molecules with 7 atoms in, and it'll say size 7. This is a reminder. So if you forget the instruction, you know what you've got to do. Nice affordance. So you're like, how many have I got to get off 7? There it is. See the number.
Yeah.
Left is the left. That one. That's the number of molecules you have left to create to progress. So you've got 7 atoms, 3 molecules. Those, that tells you how much you've got to do. Set. That's the present number of atoms you have on the grid in the present molecule. And this is important to keep a track of if you want to get access to the extra level, which is the number next to the word EXTR. If you complete a molecule with the same number of atoms as the number next to EXTR, then you'll get access to the bonus level. It pops up. Do you want to access the bonus level? You get a couple of seconds to say yes or no. And if you say yes, the grid becomes full of atoms, and you need to switch them around in order to make the biggest molecule you can. So you're sort of swapping them about, changing them about, moving one, swapping one for another. But you've got to be careful, though, because if you create a small molecule by accident, so if you create something where a series of atoms have nowhere left to join up to, and you've only created like 4 of them, the unused molecules stay on the board as it switches you back to the main game, and then suddenly you've got a really packed board and you're trying to join atoms up and stuff like that, so it gets quite tricky. So there is risk in going for the extra level, which is quite a nice touch as well. As the game progresses, the speed at which atoms fill the chute on the right increases. Now, this starts to allow you to plan ahead when it starts to get faster, because you can see which atom you're going to have next to place into the board. When it's empty and it's quite slow, you don't really need it. And there's a reason why you don't need it. This game has a really good function I'll come to in a moment. Because being able to see them, as we said before with that other game we played the other week, where you couldn't plan ahead. This one has a real killer sort of idea around that. I thought this was great. And the best thing about this is the ability to swap out any atom on the board for the one presently you need to place. This is really handy. So I think Pipe Mania allowed you to do something similar, but it blew up the present pipe, and I think it lost your points. I think you were penalised. Here, there's no penalty at all. It just simply swaps the new atom and places the old atom at the bottom of the chute to be used next. And this is, if you think Bioshock, and the minigame in BioShock.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of idea, So why is this great? Well, say you have a badly placed, single blue atom in the middle of others, and you could complete the molecule if they were all connected. You needed a 3 in there, and you get a 3 at the bottom. You can then just place that 3, valence atom over the 1, and it takes the 1 out and completes the molecule, and you can progress. So it's like this sort of ability to rejig your molecule on the fly. The 1 becomes the next one you play, but you can then play that elsewhere where you might have needed that just to end at something.
Mm-hmm.
It means you're not penalized for placing an atom in the wrong place. And it allows you to mitigate errors you may have made by not seeing the next atom in the chain.
Okay.
This makes this a really great puzzler. It's a really great puzzle game, this, to play. As you move from level to level and the requirements get tougher and tougher, it starts off well with simple tutorial-style levels. For slowly ramping up the challenge, every 10 levels, you get a password to allow you to start from there the next time. Or we always like that, and it's always a great touch. And so this just builds upon itself, and it builds in a way which feels logical. It introduces its different concepts for the different things you've got to do slowly. Like this, the first, when it says fill this gap, it just gives you the atoms in order and goes, there you go, this is how it's done. And it's really nice that it does that. It's not like, oh, this is dead hard immediately. It's not. It's inviting. It works well. It's quick. And it just works. The visuals for this are really bright and colourful. They have a chunky sort of medium res style that works really well. The atoms themselves are quite simple, a little bit shading on the balls, but those sort of valence little moons flying around are a really nice touch to sort of visually show you. You don't have to just know the colours. You can see when one's got something left still to join. That's really nice. The sidebar and the graphics down the chute and the sort of the background stuff. It's a kind of like this space image. Moving the number around, the numbers works really well. It's really fast and responsive. And on top of this, as you're moving the number around, you get shown the links to other atoms. So you put it next to one, it'll show you a little sort of glowy bar will appear showing this. When you place it here, it'll link here. If it's going to link to 2, it'll show you both of them. Okay. And that's really cool. So it'll show you, if there's more than possible link, you'll get all that. And if you say you've got one with two links, a valence of 2, and you want to place it in a spot where it can link in a certain way, but it might want to, there's 3 different links. You can press the space bar to actually rotate where the links will go.
Okay.
To sort of make sure, so you've got that kind of like, it's not just going to be, this is how it links. It's like, no, I need it to link, instead of up and to the right, I want it up and to the left. So press spacebar a couple of times and that will change. Okay. Really handy, really good. Again, some great player affordance, and it allows you to kind of tailor where you want to play stuff depending on how you're building things. As I said earlier, if you just want to challenge yourself in the endless mode, select mode B, and this starts off slow, gets progressively faster, and you just keep going. It's the score attack mode. It's game over in both modes if the grid becomes full, so you can't place any atoms anywhere, or the chute on the right does. So if you're taking too long to place the atoms, and the way they drop, the speed they drop increases over time as well. As you play through this, there's a great tune, which I thought that plays and works really well. It's pacey, fits the feel of the game. The sound effects also fit. They're nice, they're not intrusive, but they've just got that nice little boop when you sort of place something, and when you change something around, it works really well. I thought this was great. I'd never heard of it. I think it's on the 16-bit machines as well, on the Amiga and the Atari ST as well. But this is really, really good. Once I got the hang of it, which only took a couple of games at first, I was like, what's going on here? Then it clicked. I thought this was excellent. And, and once I twigged to replacing atoms with more suitable ones, I was like, oh, that's really clever. That's really good. And makes this an excellent puzzler. I was having a great time with this. If we compare it to other single screen puzzles, like I said, we saw recently Blind Luck. This shows how some little additions to the core gameplay really make the player feel like they're in control as they try to keep a lid on the growing pattern in front of them. It's still tricky, and you can still get a load of like 4 valences in a row, but you put them all over the place. And so it's like, actually, if I place that 3 there, if I replace that one out, it completes the molecule, gets it off, I move on to the next level. You've got that ability to kind of fix on the fly, which I thought was really good. And I found this, like a good cake. This was devilishly Moorish. I was playing this for ages because it's really, I found it quite addictive. It's one of the best puzzle games I've seen in ages, and certainly up there with my favourites on the machine. It does what all great puzzle games do, and that is pulls you back for one more go. And once the extra requirements start to kick in, it gets pretty tricky. That password system, though, as always, godsend and works exactly as a puzzle game should. 93%, absolutely. Full price, okay, it's a puzzle game, it's 10 quid. But I think this is a really solid, addictive, well thought out, well designed, well put together, well coded, sounds great, looks great, fun, simple premise delivered with a great attention to detail. I loved this. I thought it was great. Always nice when something unusual pops along. We've seen a lot of these single screen puzzlers, which are almost there. This one, for me, had everything, and I really enjoyed my time with it. So, yeah, great game. What about you?
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm not going to add a lot more to that because that's a really eloquent description of what is an excellent puzzle game. Very ahead of its time, actually, in the way it operates. You could see this on a Switch, probably. I mean, I had a quick look around to see if there was a modern version, and there's variants of this, don't get me wrong, but not an exact modern version of this, which really surprised me because I always thought there must be. And I know there's Atomics and there's other games but there isn't one that plays exactly like this in the way that it does. And I thought it was really, really good, really clever, fun to play. Once you get into what you're doing, it's pretty straightforward. The graphics are really good. They all work perfectly well. It's a really well executed game. And there's nothing more there's not a lot you can criticize it for. I thought the look and feel of it was nice. It's colorful. The sprites really work. They're nicely designed. They're the right size. It wouldn't look out of place on a mobile screen, would it? No, absolutely not. This is, like I said, so far ahead of its time that just switch this out, stick this on an iPhone or an Android, and you'd have quite a good hit game on your hands. It's one of those kind of games. And to monetize it, well, that'd be easy peasy as well, wouldn't it? So, and there are a lot of games that look a bit like this. This the trope of these games on mobile where you've got dots and where you've got games like that sort of rely on this kind of logic and switching things out. It's a really classic example of a puzzle game done well with a simple premise. Well, no, I say simple, but a premise done simply, but it's complicated, but it builds up to that, gives you an in, lets you get on with it, gives you methods and ways to be able to circumvent mistakes, which is critical. And we've seen a few puzzle games that were hung up on that just recently, where it didn't do that. Gives you foresight into the next particle, whatever they are. I forget the name of them now, but the next atom. Sorry, I couldn't think what it was for a second. What's not to like about it? And quite a nice big game window actually to play it in. And sometimes another criticism I'd have of some of the recent puzzle games is that the puzzle itself is kind of in a little bit of a small splodge on the screen with a bit of an afterthought. This is a really nice engine. I've not seen something as nicely engineered like this since something like Fused or, like say, Pipe Mania. Just where you've got a nice edge detail, just the right amount of background information, but then you've got the game and the logic of the game doesn't deviate. It's obviously complicated and it gets quite challenging, to say the least. But that's the nature of a puzzle game, isn't it? I thought it was a really, really cracking game. And I would say, even though $9.99 at this point in time is probably putting it onto the never going to chart category, it's worth $9.99 because it's a game you would go back to and you'd really find challenging, and there's loads and loads and loads and loads and loads to go at. Compare that full price game to some of the other crap that we played recently. This is giving you a lot of game, even though it is a puzzle game. It's giving you plenty to go at. I really enjoyed playing it, and had I had this on modern mobile, it'd be a game that's in my kind of carousel of games that I go back to when I'm on an airplane. I've got a few games like that I have on sort of standby mode almost on there, things like bloody Fruit Slice or whatever it's called and crap like that. But this would be amongst those because it's just the game where you pick it up and you're like, I'm waiting to take off and I like to challenge the amount of time I've got between taking off and putting them in flight mode. So sometimes I put a game on for that and see how far I can get. Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, because on mobile, you could just touch the screen where you want to place it, touch the grid pick, couldn't you? And you just place it in. It worked perfectly.
Exactly. That's what I mean when I say it's very ahead of its time. I mean, they would never have known that at the time.
No.
But and that's what surprised me, that there wasn't a version of it. But that said, go and play it because it's excellent and a really good, and more proof, again, that good games can be done. There is still good ideas out there, new ones. This isn't a silly rip-off of Tetris in 4D or whatever that bloody thing was. You don't need to do that. You don't know. This is another example where they didn't subtract by addition or whatever it was you call it. This is just a game that just builds upon its simple premise and doesn't go mad with it. Keeps to that core thing. Lets you get good at the things that you need to get good at without punishing you for them. Great game.
And the other thing, just to sort of add as well, is that you kind of create your own difficulty because it's like if it's quite easy just to make really small atoms, especially the first few levels, or just make seven atom molecules. But you've got a 56 grid space that you can fill up with. And if you really want to challenge yourself and go, I'm going to make one that fills the entire, you'll get a load of points, but it's obviously trickier once it gets bigger. So
Exactly.
You know?
And how many mobile games are fundamentally built on that premise? I mean, I know Tetris is sort of like that, but I'm just thinking of threes and games like that where you could really go for all the low hanging fruit and get a really average score, or you can really try and think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And same with two dots, I think, or, games like that. Or you can go for you can try and get the big Tetris and get the other Tetronimos in so you get a big chunk and
exactly.
And so, it is. I admire games that do that leave you in a little bit of control of your own destiny. That's not a bad thing to have. Amazing, really, that these games come along when they do. It's a It was refreshing. Certainly refreshing in this batch of games we've got to play. That's for sure.
Yeah, true, and good to see Zach recognising that as well. 93%, fully deserved of that score.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really good game that was. Really thoroughly enjoyed it, and a good start to the month. Let's hope, Graham. Let's hope the month carries on in the same level of quality.
I'm sure it will.
I'm sure it will. Let's move on to our next one and see if that quality is just as high. Graham, it's over to you to, entertain us with the Great Gurianos.
I don't know what's going on, really. I mean, it made me laugh because you were saying now Atomino, you thought it would be like Domino's, and I thought, no, we've got Gurianos. It's like a Italian version of Domino's.
Yeah, true.
Random Gurianos, $2.99. This was, thank God, it was $2.99. For goodness' sake, that is asking you for quite a bit of wonga for this. It got 24% in Zap. This is a late review for Zap. It actually came out in a compilation first, back in 1987. It was on a compilation of Elite games called the Trio Hit Pack, with a silent S. I can assure you of that. It was up there. It was on there with, weirdly enough, it was billed as Gladiator at that time because that's the arcade it's a version of, really. But it was on that compilation with Able 2, which wasn't as bad as that, I suppose. But another game called Hopping Mad. Do you remember that? We reviewed that back in episode 96.
Oh yeah, that was the bouncing balls, wasn't it?
Yeah, we said it was just about borderline impossible. In fact, the exact words were, "It's just borderline bloody impossible." So that's what we said about that. Anyway, so that's where it originally came out. So, and then it says on the front of the cover, originally this was hidden on a compilation, which is why Zap didn't review it back in 1987 when it came out, and then waited till it came out on budget. So this was published by Encore, of course, but it was originally copyrighted Elite and Tato. Hey, the Tatos. Sorry about that. Just some kind of potato Tourette's.
We've not had one for a while, so it's been building up. For a while.
We haven't. This was an arcade conversion. Goodness me, it was an arcade conversion. So this was coded by Richard Underhill, famous for Fletch stealing his credit card in the Fletch movies.
It sounds like a Hobbit.
It does actually. Maybe it was. I'm not so sure. Anyway, he did Forgotten Worlds and Overlander and Pang. So that's what he did.
Pang yet, have we?
We haven't. That's coming. Graphics are by Nigel Brown. Sit down, Nigel Brown. He did Andy Cap and Ghost Hunters. So
wow. Okay.
One of the games that we have said, quote unquote, was one of the most depressing experiences we've ever had.
Andy Cap.
yeah. And Ghost Hunters, a game that was such a lie because the cover was designed by someone that hadn't seen the game.
Yeah. I remember that.
It was nothing to do with what it was on the cover.
No.
And Ghost Hunters, by the way, nothing to do with Ghostbusters, which is obviously where it was.
Nothing at all.
Nothing, don't even say it. The musician, of course, is Mark Cooksey, because at this point he was at Elite all the way, wasn't he? He's done loads of stuff. Ghosts and Goblins, 1942. Now, here's the thing. He did Storm Warrior, which is really great music on the C64. Storm Warrior is excellent. And that's in my NRIS category, Adrian, Storm Warrior, because it was not reviewed in Zap. Now, what that's telling me, no, it wasn't, and which is odd. Now, the reason I went to check on that is because I thought, Storm Warrior, we've not come across that yet, because I feel like we would have talked about the music because it's excellent, but we haven't. It's not reviewed in Zap. And that made me think about how many other Elite games were released but didn't get reviewed in Zap. And it turns out quite a lot. So I'm thinking that Elite probably didn't have such a good relationship with Zap, or at least they didn't send a lot of them. And the case in point, and I wonder if it's something to do with that Zap didn't review a great percentage of their games, either because if they had them, they didn't give them very good reviews, so they just stopped sending them. I don't know. That's me just connecting some dots.
I remember Storm Warrior. Look at it now. I used to like that game. Good music.
Exactly. And it went on to become an amazing symphony as part of the 8-Bit Symphony, of course, when they did a version of that, which you can go and sort out and download and do all that magic stuff. Anyway, that's not this game, is it? This is Great Gurianos, otherwise known as Gladiator, which is a better name for it. But it's not that, is it?
No.
This was an arcade conversion, a Tato arcade, a really odd one. They have gone into the dark depths of the Arcade Obscura for that thing. I mean, goodness me. I mean, in the arcade at that time, it would have been quite unique, actually, for what it is. And the C64 conversion is a version of that, but with all sorts of problems that are going to be discovered as we go through this. And the least of which is that the description of the game that I found, because it's actually hard to find, because this game was part of a compilation and because it's sort of spattered around through the game world, it's actually hard to find a definitive description of the game. There's even a mysterious entry in the games that weren't, even though this is a game that was, describing the game Gladiator and sort of who worked on what. And there's a little bit of mystery about exactly who was responsible for what. There was another version of this called Gladiator as well. It's all a bit weird. So the origins of this principally are that it was created, I think, by Richard Underhill. I don't know if it was ever really finished, I'll be honest. I think it was just kind of rush released onto the compilation to fill up a bit of space. And it was meant to be a conversion of an arcade, like I said, from Taito. The Taito arcade came about in, I want to say, 1987. And it was a bit weird. Now, it's not, I have to say, an arcade I've seen. I have looked at subsequently at YouTube videos. It's the same format, which I'll describe for the C64 version, only the graphics are obviously arcade. And so are the sound effects. So a slight bit earlier. And in its time, the idea of a side-scrolling beat-em-up of this type, and what weird one-to-one fights that you end up in, which are not dissimilar to the kind of fights that you end up in with things like Street Fighter later down the line, things like that. So there's a little bit of odd lineage to this. And that's bigging up a game which is pretty damn crap, actually, on the C64. So just preparing you really for that.
Just a bit.
I like to set you up and knock you down. So anyway, let's talk about the description, because this was written by someone it was written by someone. So this is what I've got. The name of the character you control is Gurianos. The names of the evil warriors you must fight are Solon, a sword man, a blockhead fencer, Irene, a woman soldier, a mighty lady, Zaid, a club giant, a big good-for-nothing fellow, an Agathon, a two-swordsman, a clumsy fighter. Other enemies include a fire-breathing demon, Maitreya, the Amazon archer, and Gaius, the warrior of death.
Oh, yeah.
The object of the game is to find the treasure. Before you can get to the treasure, you have to destroy Gaius. After you kill him the first time, he will become a skeleton, and you will have to fight him again. To kill him again, you have to strike him directly in the skull. After you've defeated Gaius the second time, you will have treasure, and then game will begin again. Okay. Not like giving away the ending, the pointless ending. What we have here then is an arcade conversion of a really odd game. The game is actually, it's like I said, a side-scrolling, it's a side-scrolling dodge-em-up, really.
Deflect 'em up.
Deflect 'em up, yeah. Not dissimilar to if you remember in IK Plus, in between levels, there's the ball deflection thing. It's basically a walking version of that, but you're dressed in really weird armor. There's problems with this game, Adrian. I mean, it's okay. It's a direct port of the arcade and some of the logic of that. So just to give you an idea, when the game starts, fairly rudimentary into screen, music, 1 or 2 player selection. Don't worry about that because it won't actually choose what you want. It will just go 2 player automatically. For reasons that are known only to the game logic, it just does. So you can't ever just choose 1 player. I don't know why. And also, when you think you're dead, you don't die in this. It's really weird like that. It's just, I had 3 lives and I actually had 6. So I think it's arbitrary. I think something's gone wrong in the Matrix with it.
That's because you were playing 2 player.
No, I meant when I died, it said game over player 1, went to play 2, game over player 2, then player 1 just carried on. I was like, what the hell? It's really weird. I couldn't be stopped.
I didn't want it to carry on.
I didn't really. So you control Gurianos. When you start the game, you actually are presented with quite a large sprite, actually. He's quite a big old dude. It reminded me of Swords of Sodan a little bit in the Amiga back then. That was we got a big character.
What was the other one? What's that
Trantor,
one where you're running along?
Trantor,
yeah.
That's another one. He's bigger than Trantor, which is, they could have put that on the box, really. Play a game bigger than Trantor in all the right ways. And the idea is you walk from left to right across the backgrounds, and you will have 2 kinds of things will be hurling themselves at you. You control your shield, and you must press up or down to deflect the things that come towards you with your shield. Then you can do an attack after you've run across the level for a period of time. It's kind of just not really defined. You will then confront your first player. I'm guessing the first one that you come across is Solon, who is a sword man. Solon the sword man. He is a man of sword, and you will fight him. Now, fighting in this is a bit weird, to say the least. I don't know that you've got a fighting move as much as you just kind of lean forward and go, It's really
I
weird.
knew as soon as I played it that was the noise you were going to make when I saw it, because that's the exact same noise I heard in my head.
I mean, it's an attack. He doesn't really use his sword as much as he kind of just leans forward.
It's a lunge. It's a lunge.
It's a lunge.
It's a Michael Jackson lunge.
He does. I mean, it's not quite a headbutt. It's not quite a sword attack. I don't know what it is. And it's not really that effective.
It's a sword butt.
Now, what I meant to say is, if you don't hit, when you're walking towards Solon or the other sword people, if you fail to hit the, attacking what's-its with your shield, then if you take too many hits, your armor will start to glow in the various. So if it hits you in the head, your head glows. If it hits you in the shoulders, so you kind of, the layers of multiplex are being played heavily here. So if it hits you right in your multiplex, which is painful, isn't it? Then your armor starts to glow. Too many hits to the multiplex, and you'll just shoot off left. You just go, you fly off. You're off. That's it. You bugger off. You lose a life, and then you walk back on again. And then now he's got a really strange animation cycle because he seems to walk only from his knees. So his arms slightly animated. His knees and lower legs are animated. So he kind of just sort of, I don't know if he's joined at the knee. I don't know. But anyway, he kind of more stutters than walks. Now I don't know what the word for that is. So he teeters, which sort of explains why he sort of goes, hey, when he leans forward. So they attack you pretty angrily with a sword while you're kind of leaning in, going, hey. And if you lean in and happen to hit them, then their armor will glow. And if you do that enough, you're going to beat them. They'll fly off, and then it's on to the next level. And then the same thing exactly, only this time you get a different enemy at the end, different powers. So not that you'd know. Now, when you're playing the game, across the top of the screen is your score on the left. This is the kind of UI, but it's just text. Score on the left, the high score in the middle, which player you are underneath that, whether it's 1 or 2, and then the number of lives, which are little sword icons, which is kind of cute, I suppose. At the bottom, it says Great Gurianos, copyright Tato Corporation. You don't really need that, but it's there. And then the rest is kind of, now, they got carried away with the ground. I'll say that. Because the ground that you're walking on kind of just goes up. And then there's pillars. Now, that is how the arcade presents itself, only not as crap as that, obviously. But it does. That does, I suppose, in itself look like the arcade does, and the way his suit of armor is kind of looks like it's made of pieces of sprite. Pieces of sprite. It is made of pieces of sprite, and it kind of works in the context of what it is. Now I'm telling you, his helmet, such as that is, it looks like he's got a belt around his head, and your armor's purple as well, which is weird. I'd have thought they'd have gone for a more of a grey silver, the colour strengths of the C64, really. But anyway, they don't. So, but you're walking across. Now, the problem I have with this is, firstly, your sword's black with a purple tip. I don't think anyone wants that. If you're going to attack someone with a purple tip, bad things are going to happen for you. And they do. You don't attack with his sword. He's hey. So the idea of the game is to dodge the stuff hit the stuff with your shield, don't get hit too many times, walk your way to the end and fight the enemies. And that's it. That's all there is to the game. Mm-hmm. Now, the controls are nimble, I guess you'd call them, but limiting, because you can't do a lot. You can move left and right, or moving left and right with your joystick moves Gurianos left and right in his kind of way. Up and down moves your shield up and down, so top, middle, bottom, essentially, a bit like I said with the IK Plus. And then you press the fire button and he does his, I'm going to call it an attack. You play the game yourselves and you figure out what you want to call it. Lunge attack, lean, I don't know, but he does that. And so that's it. That's all there is to this game. You're just walking across.
You can press F3 and he puts his sword down and you can do a low attack.
Oh, I didn't press that because F keys on the Mac version of this.
You never need it, but you can do that.
I know. I didn't. For a start, I didn't. I know that. But secondly, the F keys are a double key press on the Mac. I would never have done it even if I could do it. Mm-hmm. So what can you say about the game? Well, the music isn't very good. Certainly not by the standard that we've come to expect from Mark Cooksey, which makes me wonder that was the music even for this game? I suspect it wasn't. It's not a version of the music from the arcade as far as I could ascertain, but someone might correct me on that. But either way, it wasn't very good. Bit discordant, bit nondescript, and it didn't suit a kind of game that's about what it is. Gladiators, I guess, really. Why they changed it to Gurianos, who the hell knows? I mean, that's not even the name of the arcade. That's the name of the guy in the game. So why that is, because this is a license, I don't know. But it was Gladiator when it was in the hit pack. So I'm wondering if there was some, maybe Tato saw it and went, you can't call that bloody Gladiator. That's nothing shit. So maybe that's it. I don't know the full story of that, but that seems weird. The controls are like I said, nimble, but limited, massively limited of the game at this time. And the main thing in this game is you're meant to be fighting, really. And that's the kind of with the arcade. Yes, you have to go through the bit where you've got the dodging the stuff, but the main thing of the game was the fighting. And in the arcade, there was some fairly advanced fighting mechanics. which for its time, in 1986, were quite unusual. You don't get any of that here, which means that the gameplay is then really boring because there's only two types of enemy and then the fights. So you're dodging the whatever they are, the little fireball things or the other things that fly at you, or you're fighting an enemy. And the enemy fights are really, you're over it very quickly. You'll lose your lives rapidly in this because it's also way too hard. And then they've obviously upped the stupidity and difficulty to mask the fact that there's probably, maybe, if you just went through this with a cheat, I would say 5 minutes of gameplay. I don't think there's many levels and enemies. So there's probably about 8 minutes tops of actual gameplay with this if you went through a cheat code on it. And they masked all that by just making it next to impossible. I got to the end boss on the first level and then fought the guy, was dead within seconds with my stupid lean. I didn't feel like I was doing any kind of sword fighting, which was stupid. And so I thought, I'll try again. And then I didn't need to because I wasn't dead. And even though I died and it said game over, I was just like, okay, I'll carry on then. So something was broken in it as well. It might be my version, but something was broken. So ultimately, what was this? Well, it was never really meant to be released, was it? This is another found it in the bottom of a drawer release, I think. What's that? I don't know. Put it on a compilation. Oh, people quite liked it, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's prompted this release of it on budget, other than they found it in the bottom of a drawer and thought, that'll do. Maybe it's, it's coming to the end. Who cares? Put it out. It's not very good, is what it's not. Now, interestingly, you can go and look at the arcade, and you can look at the different variations of the arcade that on there and see what you think about all the different versions. It came out on all the versions too, as well. Of course, this came out on the arcade, also came out on the Spectrum, the Amstrad, but all of those versions, I think, were re-released, and they all came out on hit pack compilations or earlier versions back in 1986-87. So this is a game that's completely out of its time, reviewed out of context, but also horribly crap. So I didn't rate it at all. I thought it was rubbish. Even the graphics, as much as they're big, they're not great big. They're not good. It's just nothing to this game. It's a really boring game. And even at £3, you're not going to get any fun out of this, even though it's endless because you can't stop the game. You can't die, but you'd want to. So you find yourself running into things going, please just make it stop. And you can't. So I thought it was really, really crap. Didn't enjoy it. Nothing to play. It's a really dull old thing. And of course, we've seen this before, haven't we? A really dull arcade by the look of it. It may be interesting in 1986, but 1991, there's way better fighting games, loads of them out by now. This is too late to that party anyway. So what did you think?
Crap.
Yeah.
So interesting things about this, right? So this obviously called Gladiator. There was a sequel to this. They called it Blandia. Why would you call a game Blandia?
I think this the clues in the name there.
It's blander than the last game. And the Spectrum version, there's according to the Wikipedia, there's an interview with Dave Perry. The Spectrum version, he says about that, there was an arcade port, he did the graphics, it was nasty, and I ran out of memory to actually finish the game, so I made the last boss impossible to kill. There's no ending to it. Yeah,
I've read that the Spectrum one cannot be stopped.
Dreadful nonsense. Supposedly there are some extra moves in this. If you waggle the joystick up and down, it creates a protective shield.
Yeah, it does. You get this big barrier. I did get that, but
I never managed to get that, despite how hard I waggled that long black purple tip thing.
Do you know what they don't tell you about that though? Is that when you do waggle that and you do get the shield, and it obviously deflects all the fireballs that come towards you. It just makes the level longer because the level then doesn't. It resets when you do that, so it just means that it makes you think that you've defeated them, but in actuality, you've just made the level longer.
Oh, brilliant! There's blue crystals as well that you can hit, and it replenishes your armor. I managed to do that once with my crazy lunge. And another, you can hit the swords as well. If you hit 3 of those, you get a bonus.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, this is crap. It feels like, as you rightly said, the bonus mode in International Karate turned into a full game. Or maybe obviously International Karate probably came out after the arcade, maybe, so they just that's where they saw that. But, it is what it is, with terrible combat, ugly sprites, and amusing lunging animations. It's a boring game of crappily walking to the right, moving your shield up and down to block fireballs. Every now and then a sword appears. I managed to pop the balloon, but it just made the game longer, and I didn't want it to. Death at any point in the level puts you all the way back to the beginning as well. That's always good as well.
Nice,
isn't it? You go back,
nice.
So you can get, because there's 3 or 4 characters to fight in the first level. If you get to the last one and die, you're all the way back to the beginning to wander all the way through it to draw this torture out. I made it to level 2, so I killed all the 4 bosses on the first level. I got through that. And that's where your adventure will end, because the projectiles, which are arrows, now come so quickly, so fast, you can't move your shield fast enough to block them.
No, absolutely not.
Meaning a swift death for you and a merciful end to this game. I went and played the arcade version of this. It's just as bad. And the sound the character makes when they die was the sound I made when playing this. He goes, "Ugh." So that's what I felt when playing this. This was rubbish. £3 as well. There may be some curiosity, and this is a weird old arcade game, but you wouldn't be happy if you spent £3 on this, because it's just an ugly, ugly thing looking for some gameplay.
Yep.
Of which there is very little to be had here. Great Gurianos. Nothing great about this.
No, there isn't.
No. I mean, Gladiator's not particularly great, because you're not a gladiator. I don't know what you are. Why have they put you in blue armor as well and made your skin grey?
Yeah.
Why are you not grey armor with pink skin or whatever?
I don't know. And it reminded me of another game that we played that was similar, like a Gladiator type game, and I can't remember what that was called. It reminded me of something, but I remembered that we'd played it and it had a very epic intro, but I couldn't remember what it was. But it reminded me of that as well, and that was sort of walking along. But that actually did make you did have fights in sort of gladiator-y sort of ways, but I couldn't think what it was.
I vaguely remember something along the lines. I'm sure one of our listeners will let us know.
Yeah.
They'll tell us. But yeah, this was really rubbish. After the height of Atomino, Great Guriano was crap.
Guriano.
I mean, the clue's at the end of the word, isn't it? Guriano. Yeah. There you go. So, Guriano. No. Bloody rubbish. There we go. That's our first two games for the month of June, 1991. We're going to go away, take a quick break, come back. Lots of music to get through for that month. So, we'll see you in a moment. And we're back. It's June. It's 1991. There are plenty of singles and albums that are coming out this month. Let's get into those. In at number 1 for the first 3 weeks of the month. We saw this last month. It climbed all the way to the top. Graham, I Want to Sex You Up. Colour Me Bad.
Ooh. Oh, dear. Oh. I want to sex you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah.
I don't know. This was in featuring the soundtrack to the 1991 film New Jack City.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do. It's a good film, actually, that.
Yeah, this song heavily samples Tonight is the Night by Betty Wright.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, yeah. Sounds like the sort of thing it would do. I was never a Colour Me Bad fan, really.
No. If replacing that, though, for the last 2 weeks of the month, well, he's come, he's gone, he's back again. It's Jason Donovan with Any Dream Will Do.
Yeah, he's turned to the Weber, hasn't he? The dark Weber.
Yeah. I mean, I listened to this. Good Lord, it's so saccharine. I'm sure I lost a tooth. It's just ridiculous. And interesting why this happened, because they basically decided that his single RSVP
didn't do well.
Underperformed. According to Wikipedia, he wished to evolve his music towards a more adult Happy Mondays inspired sound.
All right.
Jason Donovan. This was roundly rejected by Pete Waterman. So, I can imagine that conversation. So, Pete, I want to do something Happy Mondays. Jason, get out.
Yeah, Jason, not on your Nelly.
Get off my train.
You're twisting my melon too far.
Absolutely. So Donovan was keen to find a new path forward. His management felt a return to acting was a wage transition as his shelf life as a pop star was coming to an end. So he went to the London Palladium and became Joseph in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
He did.
And then obviously had a number 1 single with one of its songs. These things come around and go around.
Well, Andrew Lloyd Webber anything he seemed to turn his hand to at this point was going to be chart fodder at best. And I mean, I'm not a fan of these kind of musicals, really. As a side note, I did sing in the chorus for Joseph the Technicolor Dreamcoat, but not for Jason Donovan. That would have been hilarious, wouldn't it?
We did it in school. That would have been something you've hid from me for over 30 years.
Yeah, I didn't do that. But we did do it when I was at junior school, so way back when I was young. We all had to. The bigger kids did the acting, and we had to sing the chorus bit. So.
I'm just imagining you in the chorus. Who's that long-haired? Who's that long-haired metaler there in the corner?
Yeah. That wasn't going to happen in adult life. That was never going to happen now. My ministry credentials would have prevented me from going anywhere near that.
Yeah, true.
But I did have to sing that, and I remember that particular song because I remember the teacher teaching us the the multi-part parts because the chorus splits into two. When I return to the bit. Yeah, I remember it to this day. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that
saccharine nonsense. No, it's not very good.
Yeah. Number one albums, first 2 weeks was Seal by Seal.
There he is. I found a picture of him.
I know. He's looking good.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, it's good. Because he's a performer. Nice. He's a trooper.
Absolutely.
He's a Marine. He's a trooper.
Yeah, he's great in the clubs.
He's a trooper. He's a real Marine. He is, actually, though. That's not a bad album, also, if you like it.
Yeah. Returning back to number one, though, been around for a while now. Greatest Hits by Eurythmics for another week.
Yeah. Sweet dreams were made of album sales for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And finally, replacing that was Love Hurts by Cher for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Her 20th studio album.
I can't believe that. 20 albums. My gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you see who produced that one, by the way?
Who did it?
Diane Warren and Desmond Child, which sort of makes sense. And also Bob Rock. Somebody called Bob Rock, which is the name I've come across before.
No, I think we have. I've heard of Bob Rock. Bob Rock.
And have you seen recently the Diane Warren got overlooked again for an Oscar song? I think it's 16 years in a row now that Diane Warren has never got an Oscar she's always been pipped to the post of an Oscar-winning song from a film. And just recently, we had the Oscars very recently, and she got pipped yet again. I think this is 16th or 17th year in the bounce. And one day, Diane, that Oscar will be yours, just not this year. Yeah.
Bob Rock worked on Wanted Dead or Alive, Living on a Prayer, Bon Jovi.
Oh, there you
Dr. Feelgood, Motley Crue, Enter Sandman, Primal Scream.
Wow. He's got the name for it, though, hasn't he? Bob Rock. If he was Bob MOR or Bob Jazz Fusion, he wouldn't be nearly going as popular, would he?
Jazz Fusion. Yeah, no, he's not. But this obviously gone to number one because of Shoop Shoop. Shoop, 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 shoop.
Yeah, so that was the big song, big hit off it. Yeah, so totally.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the singles. In at number 2nd of June, in at number 12 is Holiday, 1991 by Madonna.
Yeah, I'm guessing on the Immaculate Collection not that long ago? Is there something to do with that? She was on the tour, maybe it's something to do with that, I don't know.
Yeah, the Immaculate Collection was beginning of the year, so probably
something to do with that, but I found a version of her singing it live. So it was good live, I guess, but it's not. Thankfully, it isn't the DJ Sven one which you implied.
You got to ring a ding for a holiday.
Yeah, put your arms in the air. Let me hear you say, "We're going to ring a dong for a holiday." You got to practice your DJ Sven voice. We got to ring a dong for a holiday.
I can't do it as well as
Check
you.
Check out the beatbox. He will play. The beatbox in that is really weird, isn't it? Have you ever listened to it?
Yeah, probably, but I don't remember.
I'm gonna, even though we'll get a copyright strike for it, inevitably, I'm going to put the section from that song. I'm going to put it here.
Anyway, no more delay. Just listen to the beatbox he will play.
Just so you can laugh at the crazy bit where the beatbox is, because I don't know what they think beatboxing is, but it ain't that.
They're beating up a box.
And honestly, he goes at one point. One guy is going. I think it's DJ Sven and Micah G in it. Micah G's going. And the other guy goes. It's really weird. Honestly, and I'm not making that up. That's what it sounds like.
Gibbons.
It is a proper Gibbons moment. Gibbons is there. Yeah, it's the rapping style of Gibbons. Anyway, I'll put that in just so you can hear what I'm babbling on about.
You do it. I'll listen to it. And at number 17 is Jealousy by the Pet Shop Boys.
No, not for me.
No, strange video. They play a slow song at some kind of Russian mafia dinner, which all ends in violence.
Yeah. It's not quite what you expect from the Pet Shop Boys, is it?
No. There's even a bit of saucy goings on in the bathroom.
A lot of these videos are unnecessarily saucy in places this time around, aren't they, as well? So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Just like I said, I heard Pet Shop Boys. I saw Pet Shop Boys in the name. The video didn't quite match my expectations as well.
No.
What's going on?
Not what I wanted to see. Number 27 is Planet of Sound by the Pixies.
No, it's just firmly in your oeuvre, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right. This is not... I think the past where I was into them sort of thing, but this is their first single from Trompe Le Monde, which is the album coming up. I don't got a lot to say about this. It's quite a harsher sound. It's quite more of quite a more rockier, sort of rocky track than some of their other stuff. But yeah, it's all right. It's not my favourite Pixies stuff. And we've spoken at length about the Pixies in the past with all this stuff going on.
You put here, the lyrics reference the instrumental song Classical Gas. My only knowledge of that is from The Simpsons, Classical Gas. Because I think it's one that somebody plays it, doesn't they? So he's playing classical gas. Diddle do 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 do. I can't think why, but
there it is. And I have no idea what Black Francis is usually singing about. It's like singing about something.
Yeah, boring. I find it boring.
Fair enough. In at number 38 is "Remember Me with Love" by Gloria Estefan. Are you a Gloria Estefan or a Gloria Esther not a fan?
I'm Gloria Esther not a fan. I admire what Gloria Estefan is doing. I'm just not sure what it is.
No, I thought the song was utterly boring as well.
Yeah, so she's lost the Miami Sound machine, and without that machine, what are you? You're just Gloria Estefan, aren't you? So.
Yeah, absolutely. In at number 39 was "Space" by New Model Army. Bit bland. Didn't really go anywhere, this one.
Why are they using a drum machine? I thought they had a drummer.
I'm sure they did. Maybe he left. I don't know.
Just seems odd that you would use a drum machine for that. It gives the track a weird sense of robotism, which perhaps don't need.
Maybe the drum machine from Sisters of Mercy had moved over.
Yeah, could be. It is just, I just when I heard it, I thought, it's because you can always tell when it's a drum machine, and that is a drum machine. So I was like, oh, okay, seems odd.
Take your word. In at 42 is "Cover My Eyes, Pain and Heaven" by Marillion.
Oh, God.
Cover my ears, more like.
Absolutely right. This was crap. What are you doing, Marillion? And it's this hashtag no fish in it as well.
Yeah. This song completely loses it at the end. It just goes dead weird, and I'm not quite sure what happened.
Well, it's the channel in U2, that's why. Because if it sounds like a U2 song with a shit version of Michael Hutchison's, like an Aldi version. So I don't know. And it, obviously in looks, not in sound, but it just sounds like U2 to me. The way the guitars are, very U2-y, very edge-sounding guitars in that.
Yeah, I didn't like this at all. And I didn't know what all the sexy women were doing in the video either.
No.
Completely incongruous.
No, they didn't know. No, they were invited under a pretense. So what that was, I don't know. Maybe it was the thought of having no fish. I don't know.
No fish. And at number 43 is "Get the Funk Out." And now we were talking about this obviously last week or the other week when we were talking about the albums and stuff. And I remembered the chorus. I didn't remember the main bit. And then I've listened to this. I forgot it had shit trumpets in it. They annoyed me.
It's got them kind of blasty trumpets in.
The video's awful. I'm very out of time by now. But over to you on this one. It's not for me, this.
It is a naff video. There's no doubt about that. And Gary Cherone rips off a number of better singers. His performance is very Steve Tyler from Aerosmith, but bendier. He's also too bleeding bendy, isn't he? He's like, oh, like he's made of rubber. Maybe uneasy, fantastic. Actually, watching him. It was like watching somebody was made of elastic and just bendy all over the place. No wonder they're having trouble with him. But it's got Nuno Betancourt demonstrating virtuosity in it, which is the best thing about it.
It's an interesting solo. It's an impressive solo. Not one of my favorites.
It's impressive. Hinged with a touch of arrogance, I think, that comes with virtuosity, but all the same, can't argue with the way he plays because it's amazing. And remember that the key thing to think about when you hear that solo is that was one take and that was recorded in one hit. That is just improv'd. And then he played it exactly the same every time after that, which makes it not improv every other time. Which means he's just rubbish, isn't it?
Absolutely. Should Nuno do better, Court? That's what I say. Do better. At number 45 "People Are Still Having Sex" by Latour. The follow-up track to the previous single, "People Are Having Sex." I want to put some. It's like a question, a bit of an exclamation. People are still having sex.
Yeah. Heavy use of the FM lately bass sound patch in that. And samples from Evil Dead 2 in it as well, oddly.
Were there?
Not my... Yeah. Not my cup of tea, though.
I don't know. No, it wasn't for me. And at number 50 was "Escape" by Gary Clayle and On You Sound System.
Oh, God.
I just thought there was something wrong with this.
Absolutely. Something wrong with human nature. It escaped for definite from somewhere. It just looked like parts of it looked exactly like the state-of-the-art demo by Spaceballs on the Amiga. I mean, alarmingly so. But the song was completely egg.
Eggscape.
Just egg. Yeah.
Egg, pure egg. At number 51 is "Safe from Harm" by Massive Attack. Sounds like Massive Attack. Yeah. Great production on this. Good song.
Yeah.
I mean,
no argument that.
If you like Massive Attack, you'll probably like this. It is,
It's just, I think its pace is so different from other stuff. It's interesting, but it's just a little bit boring, I think, for me. But at its time was groundbreaking. I don't doubt that. But now there's a lot of other stuff that's probably arguably a bit better than that. It's just a bit boring. That track, they do others that are way better than that.
And at number 56 is "My Special Child" by Sinead O'Connor. Great voice. Song does nothing for me.
No, it's bland. Sounded like a soundtrack to a movie about an Irish racehorse.
Called My Special Child. Coming up on the outside, it's My Special Child. He's overtaking Ding Ding-a-Ling.
Ding Ding-a-Ling, yeah. Lumpy Gravy's fallen at the first hurdle there. Why was he even on a hurdle? This is a racetrack. Get him out of there. The jockey's landed right on his chin.
Oh.
His chin is the name of another horse. Anyway, anyway, outside of Nothing Compares to You, I never really got into much of her stuff.
No. At 58 is Rubber Band Man by Yellow.
It's Yellow. Do you know what bothers me with this is that when you see the video, it's like an art school project gone wrong with like an 80-year-old impersonator of Bruce Forsyth, and you're like, your brain just goes, instantly makes no visual sense. It's like normally you've got like an anchor point in any visual experience that you can sort of lean into for some kind of regularity, but this is just Swiss, I don't even know what you call it, ensemble sample mix gone mad with two people just going, like, look what they're doing. What does it mean? What's it about?
Too bloody eclectic is just my comment.
It is massively eclectic, and then it's songs sung in the key of rubber, isn't it? And then I listened to it, and it suddenly had a flash of inspiration. This is Vic Reeves club style, isn't it, from Shooting Stars? So I found the clip of Vic Reeves club style with it's that. So they're singing in Vic Reeves club style, and then it all made complete sense. All made sense to me.
There you go.
I understood every word they said. And they were just singing about and I thought, yeah, that's what it is.
They were making the same noises that the fighter in Great Gurianos was making every time he lunged forward. If you played this over that game, it'd be way better.
Yeah, and we've got an album of theirs coming up with more of this, more of the same. It's just songs in the key of like, what are you saying? Sing lyrics, you damn fools.
Gary loves them though.
Yeah, I don't know if he loves that, because obviously the earlier Yellow stuff, that's a different matter. But as we get towards this stuff, I'm not sure how yellow he was, whether he was starting to get a bit sort of, tinged with a bit of green.
Bit mellow yellow.
Bit of mellow yellow, yeah.
It's like that yellow you don't want. 9th of June, in at number 19 is Monkey Business by Skid Row. A man should never wear those trousers.
He's got spurs. Well, one spur, hasn't he? What is going on? And what makes me laugh, because I saw that, and Adrian's posted a picture in our show notes of I'm guessing the lead singer in trousers that are cutting off his air supply to vital organs, I think. But then it suddenly occurred to me, I thought, if you look at his trousers, that's where the name Skid Row came from, because that's clearly what's in the back of those pants on the inside. They're that tight to his arse. If he farts, he is going to decorate them with brown powder.
They balloon. They balloon out.
They would. He farts out the top of his trousers. They're that tight, doesn't he? He's always safe at sea, because he can just inflate his ass. His ass pockets. If he farts really heavily down them, that's going to travel down his leg like a air bubble when trying to put a poster on a wall, on a glass wall. And he's going to have to press it out, like, just go right out the bottom.
It's like when you're trying to put a screen protector on your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. Air bubble stuck.
Exactly. That's how he gets those out. I mean, goodness me. And there's a question I have to ask you, AD, because in that picture, it's clear to me that the zip for that is down the back of his ass crack. That's no place for a zip. No place for a zip.
Not in my lifetime, Sonny.
Not in my lifetime. And the zipper looks like it's a fish. Anyway, I don't know what's going on, and I don't want to know. Do you know, I've never wanted to wear trousers like that, and I never will.
I never even wanted to know they existed. That's how much I don't like them.
Those are some tight trousers. There is no wonder he's got a very high range in his vocals, because
he has, yeah.
He's honestly, that is squeezed in, isn't it? That, goodness, wow.
Yeah, the song itself sounded really. I was trying to place whether it was Paradise City or Welcome to the Jungle. It sounded like Guns N' Roses.
Totally Guns N' Roses. I mean, they are Guns N' Roses light at this point. Late to the party, Skid Row, we always were. This was a huge selling single off their album, actually, but they're late. I always thought they were very late to party, just as they were launching their careers. In about a few months' time, we're going to have Nirvana, and then say goodbye to Skid Row and all the rest of them.
Absolutely. Take your stinky back zipped pants with you.
Your stinky back zipped pants. I love it.
The video as well looked like it was shot just outside of Scunthorpe as well.
It did. Very cheap for them, isn't it, that?
Very, very cheap, yeah. In at number 27 was Motown Song by Rod Stewart. What was this?
Rubbish. The word you're looking for is rubbish. Oh, that's so... Goodness me.
It's like Dick Tracy wouldn't be seen dead in it. It's like,
no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
Awful.
Do you know, these animations in that video, they were animated by the people that did Banana Man.
Hence the yellow suit.
Well, I think just hence the crap animation style. More than anything
Oh
else.
yeah, that too. In at number 28 is It Ain't Over Till It's Over by Lenny Kravitz.
Good song, that.
It is a good song, this. Really good song. It's one of his best.
It is. It's one that you could sell the Kravitz cracker with that on the advert, couldn't you? I'd buy them. And I think that's, for me, one of his best songs ever, actually. I always preferred that and the vibe of it, because I love the arrangement of that track is brilliant with the light strings. Really good. And I much preferred that to Are You Gonna Go My Way, which I always preferred that one. It's a much better vibe. So good song from the Kravitz.
I always thought it was a cover because it has a kind of an older sound to it. It
does, yeah. I could dig
classic
that.
sort of 70s sound to it, which
it does.
But it's not. It's the original piece, and it's just a cracking tune. Really good song.
It is. It's very good. Yeah.
In at number 35 is Tribal Bass. By the Rebel MC, featuring Tenor Fly and Barrington Levy.
Barrington Levy, yeah.
I didn't know what to make of this.
Nobody does. It's 20 seconds of utter gibberish at the start. Which is a particularly good impression, I thought. Just incoherent. Then when the rap comes on and the song comes on, it's just more songs in the key of diddly woohoo. Diddly wait, diddly biddly bar, biddly boo. It's like, what are you saying? What language is that? I don't know what you're saying. No, it's not mine. I'm not sure it's anybody's. I mean, I think, and I'm probably sounding horribly culturally inappropriate, but not it's accidentally, because I've no idea what that's meant to be, and I don't think they know.
Sounds like that's what it sounds like.
It is what it sounds like. It's somebody going. It reminded me of that. Remember Past the Dutchie, where he goes bum bum biddly 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 bum. It's the songs in this key of biddly bum. That's what it is. It's that. Yeah. And if you listen to all the Rebel MC stuff, rough like a ninja, stinging like a bee, ding ding diddle ding. It's just that. But
it is,
and I don't like that.
No. Neither do I. In at number 36 is Farewell Mr. Sorrow by All About Eve. This was the first album and song, so they got an album coming out. A song without Tim Brickno. He'd left on guitar, he'd gone joined Sister Mercy.
He left on a guitar. He's like, see you later. He's got in his guitar and just sailed away. The video looks like it's shot at Whitby, because of course it will be. Can they not sing any songs away from harbours?
No,
they've got to be near a dockside or a harbour.
Whitby. Absolutely.
Grimsby Dock.
Her vocals as great as ever. It's got an okay chorus. It's all right. It's not one of them. It's all right.
Totally forgettable, I thought. Considering how talented she is, that is really underplaying her talent. It's not giving her much of a
wait till the direction they end up going in, sort of thing, when they go all shoegazery at one, right at the end.
I can sort of see why they went that way, though.
Yeah, they're just following a trend. They should have stuck to what they did best.
But they probably deviated from the docks, and that's what happens if you know.
It did, yeah. Tim Brickno sailed away on the beautiful pea green boat.
I don't want to be in this band anymore. He just climbs in his guitar. I'm off. How does he sail that thing? That's weird.
Yeah. How does he stop the water from getting in? In at number 39 is Naked Love. Just Say You Want Me. That's Quartz with Dina Carroll.
No,
just take it away.
Yeah, dreary and predictable. That probably our shite fodder, maybe even.
Yeah, maybe. In at number 52 is Catch the Breeze by Slow Dive. Nah, it's okay if you like this kind of thing. I don't think you do.
It isn't, and I don't.
A bit shoegazery, but not quite. It's sort of softer shoegazery.
Somebody else's shoes.
It's like slipper gazy.
Is that a thing? Slipper gazy?
It is now. It's when it's not quite as harsh as shoes. You need slippers on. It's sucking down at your slippers.
Who goes to I can answer my own question. Who goes to a dance floor with slippers? I was once in a really rough Cleethorpes nightclub, I won't name it, and a woman came in there, and honest to God, this is no word of a lie, it looked like she'd just gone, fuck this, for a game of soldiers, and just marched off to a nightclub and just started dancing. Not only did she have like hair and rollers on, but slippers, fairy slippers, and she was pregnant as well. So she just thought, I'm off for a dance. Plonk, puts whatever she was doing down. And that was it. She just went to dance, and it was a sight to behold.
When the groove gets you.
Yeah, exactly. She was dancing. Trying to think what song it was. It might have been Groove Is in the Heart, actually, but I can't remember.
Slipper gazing. In at number 61 is Perpetual Dawn by The Orb.
Perpetual Yawn, you mean? Oh, God, dreary snooze fest that was. Ugh.
Yeah, by The Borb.
Does every Orb song go meh at some point in it?
Yeah. on repeat. Yeah.
Oh, goodness me.
Yeah, Gary will be frothing into his beard right now at you saying that, but
I know he's got a proper beard now, hasn't he? He probably would. I know he liked the Orb quite a bit, but I don't know if he liked that track by them, but he probably did.
He probably did.
He probably diddly did, yeah. Biddly, biddly, biddly.
Yeah, I'm still yawning at it. On the 16th of June, in at number two was Any Dream Will Do by Jason Donovan.
Yeah, no thanks. Any Dream won't do. Go away.
No. At number 22 is Rush Rush by Paula Abdul.
Rush. That one.
Yeah, very young Keanu Reeves in this.
Yeah, there is actually. Yeah, it is.
What it is.
Having watched this and watched the video for this, I realised how much J-Lo later rips off Paula Abdul's style completely, because there's songs of J-Lo's later which are very, very similar to that. And she even performs them in the same kind of way. So I don't know what the crack is there, whether it's all interconnected, but very similar.
I don't know. It's time to get out the chalkboard and the red wire and the red cotton and
I
draw the connections.
I thought J-Lo at this point would have been still in the block because she was Jenny from the block, wasn't she? So at this point, she was Jenny in the block because she was still living there with her family and her block friends, all the blockos. Yeah, blockos. They were all there. Mr. Block, Mrs. Block, the blocks.
Her French ancestor was Jenny on the block because she was an aristocrat, and they were down to aristocrats. Down with them.
Down with the aristos. Vive fraternity. Vive and all the vives. Oh, you're always viving. It's that Carry On movie,
rush
isn't
them
it?
to the guillotine. Rush. I don't know where this has come from, but there you go. In at number 27 is Real Love by Dries a Bone.
Arashite. Hashtag Arashite.
Yeah, there you go.
Number 20 anymore.
No, number 29, There's Nothing Like This, 1991 by Omar. You're kind of glad, really.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, thank God there's nothing else like it. It was just loads of samples from other songs. Rubbish.
Yeah, because I thought the bass line was a sample. I very much recognise it.
That one,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Song in the key of dull.
Yep.
In at number 32 is Sheriff Fatman by Carter the Unstoppable Sex Machine, which I love.
Yeah, I know you're a big advocate of the old Sheriff Fatman.
I absolutely love this song. Great song to jump around to when I was younger, and I still love listening to this today. It's just a cracking, catchy tune that they were very, very good at. I don't think you like it, but that's fair enough. It's
not
just
my cup of tea.
No, not at all. But it is for me. It's just I just love the way it builds towards the end and just gets really angry and shouty, but it's not. It's still joyous.
Definitely does that.
It's just ace.
Love each to their own. It wouldn't be a fun world if we all liked or didn't like the same things. The only thing that really put me off it was the cheap sounding synth trumpets, but I guess that's just part of their way. But that's no disrespect. Carter USM, not my cup of tea, not my wheelhouse. I totally appreciate people that love it though. I can see why you'd like it.
Yeah, great. In at number 33 is Night in Motion by Cubic 22. That's the name, innit? Cubic 22.
Yeah.
Sounds like an Amiga song.
It's because the sample banks that were being heavily circulated around this time were all being sampled on Amigas and used in a lot of demos, hence the reason why. So a lot of these sounds are from the same sample pack. I think the STO2 disc is responsible for at least 90% of the Amiga tunes around this time. I think it's STO2 or the ST range. They're not Atari ST, they're just called STO1 and 02 famously. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's loads of sounds like this. I've used them myself in my own Amiga tunes, so I know that I've still got them essentially. So yeah, the song was Egg though.
Yeah. Number 37, I'm a Man, Not a Boy by Chesney Hawkes. You had your hit. Now leave us alone.
Yeah, and you are a boy. You're not a man.
Yeah. His jeans, I couldn't tell if his jeans were white or really, really light blue. And
That's
if they were light
legs.
blue, it's just that wear no jeans as he just walks around. He's
got denim legs.
Got a leather jacket and denim legs.
Yeah, he's got denim legs. Yeah, that was his original stage name.
Absolutely.
And then they said, look, I have got denim legs. I was born with it. I'm living with it. It's fine. And they look at your legs and they're like, ooh.
Yeah, someone tried to peel him off him at one point, and he became Chesney Squawks.
He would, because they're hairy. His legs are hairy, but it's just he's got denim legs. But and hairy denim is nobody wants that. Nobody. That's a porn star name at best.
Yeah, he's like a blue bungle.
The Blue Bungle. There's a nightclub waiting to happen. Come on, someone out there make that happen. You know you want to do that. I'm off to the Blue Bungle for a pint. Bit of a dance. Do slipper, whatever it's called, slipper core, whatever it was down there. Or slipper gazing at the Blue Bungle.
Slipper gazing at the Blue Bungle.
We've got a nightclub now.
It's just around the corner from the Sideways Egg.
Exactly. Knit to the Sideways Egg for a pint, finish the night off in the Blue Bungle. Off you go.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
In at number 40 is Higher Than the Sun by Primal Scream, which I can only assume is what they were when they wrote and recorded this.
Oh, it's rubbish, innit? Isn't it rubbish?
Yeah.
Just dreary.
Maudlin and boring.
Clearly high, unlike its position in the charts would ever be. So, ouch, that hurt, didn't it? That hurt him, that.
Absolutely. That was a stab from the dark.
It was. From hell's heart, I stab at thee.
Primal scream. Take that.
I spit my last breath at thee. I don't hate him that much.
And your 34-year-old song. Pah.
To the last, primal scream. To the last.
And at number 43 is Hey Stupid by Alice Cooper. It ain't no poison, this, is it? That's for sure.
No, didn't take much writing either. Naff.
Yeah, naff. Number 46 is If Looks Could Kill by Transvision Vamp. Why is Baron Samedi in this video?
I genuinely don't know. There's a lot of questions about that video, so I don't know. No,
best not
they had
to
a
ask.
formula. They had a formula, didn't they?
Yeah.
They just kept doing it.
Yeah, sure. There's only so many times you can record the same song and release it.
I know. It's blinding now the many times they tried it. They're just not interested anymore. They had a thing originally, and if they'd have just, I don't know what happened with them. They just never really became anything.
No. And at number 50 is Please Be Cruel by Inspiral Carpets. Oh, so much overbearing keyboard in this.
There is, and never have I seen such a collection of disinterested, indifferent people in a video. It's like they don't even know what they're doing there. They're just looking around bored at each other. It's like, goodness me, how depressed are you?
Very, very.
They're looking at the keyboard player going, shut him up, he's too loud.
He's
really
too high
is.
in the mix. He's like, what's his face in Iron Maiden, mixing it all. A bassist.
Should have recorded it in Dobley.
Absolutely. Less of this floating across my transom. Thank you very much. 23rd of June, and at number 3 is Chorus by Erasure. Andy Bell dancing in a field. Bendy Bell.
Bendy, but I wasn't ready for the Dungarees look, I'll be honest.
I should have warned you, I have to say. I
wasn't ready for that.
A note.
I'm thinking, if you can dance like that in Dungarees, you are doing all right. You're doing all right in a field of corn. Just not very good, was it? But even for by Erasure standards, it's pretty dreary, that.
Yeah. Number 8, Everything I Do It For You.
Oh,
Bryan
my gosh.
Adams.
That can only mean one thing.
It's going to take up, it means our number 1 spot is going to be very boring for the next 4 months.
Yeah, because it was number 1 for 17 weeks, I think.
Yep. So, we're going to be mentioning it for the next 4 months, I'm guessing.
Goodness bloody hell.
I know. Number 26 is Always There by Incognito featuring Jocelyn Brown. Trumpets, breakbeats. Oh my, Hourshite.
Hashtag Hourshite.
Yep. Number 52 is Rolling in My 5-0 by Vanilla Ice. I don't know. Is this good rap or bad rap? I'm guessing it's the latter, but I don't know enough to really comment. It sounds like bad rap.
Compared to
good rap?
Yeah, well, compared to something like NWA, I wouldn't really say it was
Public
good.
Enemy.
Public Enemy. I don't know. Some people, there was a bit of a renaissance with Vanilla Ice. There was kind of, people took a bit more of a retrospective look, and maybe he was a bit misunderstood. And then Eminem came along and went, no, he wasn't. He was shit, and Eminem proved it with tests.
If you compare this to something like Silver Bullet or whatever they're called.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, is he good as, I put him in the same league as people like Hammer, MC Hammer or Hammer, whatever he was.
Ooh. From hell's heart, you stab at him.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I do.
Jesus.
I give you 2 minutes, Vanilla Ice.
2. Number 42 is Little Lost Sometimes by The Almighty. It's the same as their last song.
Every song sounds the same to me from them.
I was like, have we heard this? And at number 46 is Then She Smiles by the Mock Turtles. I just was like, they had another single. I thought I'd listen to it, see if I recognised it. I didn't dig this. No.
Named after a character in Alice in Wonderland. And that's as interesting as it ever got with them.
Yeah. I mean, they did Can You Dig It, didn't they? Which everyone knows.
Can you dig it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Number 49 is Mama by Kim Appleby. Possible hour of shite.
Yeah, it's either hour of shite or it's dull end of the night you get in your coat.
Yeah, absolutely. No more dancing going on.
Yeah, it's a bit smoochy, a little bit smoochy, that.
In at number 51 is Looking for the Summer by Chris Rea.
The miserable shit that he is. Any miserable shitbag.
Yeah, he'd do well with the Inspiral Carpets, wouldn't he? Imagine a double act with them. Imagine the fun you'd have that night.
I don't know. I just like the idea of Chris Rea owning some kind of carpet fitters. I don't know why now. You just made me think Chris Rea's carpets.
Chris Rea's fitters.
Yeah, Chris Rea carpet fitting.
Absolutely.
How long is it going to take? Going to take ages.
Ages sort of thing. Yeah.
Doom Lord, he is. Sounds like more and more like Poundland Leonard Cohen. That's not a criticism. Leonard Cohen ain't a bad person to sound like, but he is gradually sounding more and more like Leonard Cohen.
Yeah, it is. 30th of June, in at number 17 is 7 Ways to Love by Cola Boy.
Yes.
Is this Europop? Sounds and looks like it.
I guess it haunted pubs and clubs at the time, didn't it? Just dreary, really. But now, this is the thing I wanted to sort of just, take a moment. Now, this is the exact kind of song that would be playing in a pub, and you used to work in a pub where this kind of song was played a lot.
I did.
And this is a song where the DJ would talk over it, and he'd be talking complete. Nobody knows what those DJs say.
No,
because it'd be like the music could be thumping. You go, "Oh well, it's Saturday night, everybody. It's going to be that's 11 day." And you're like, what did he say? Did he speak? But that's what the DJ's like. So I thought this is a good chance to practice your pub DJ voice. So try. I'll put the music underneath it.
I can't do it.
But you've got to try and do your kind of pub DJ. All you've got to say is something like, it's the start of your Friday night. We'll have drinks offers at 10. But you've got to say it in the pub DJ style.
Hey, it's the start of your Friday night. It's the pub DJ. You got the offer down. Come on. I can't do it.
I thought he was going to go yeehaw at the end of that.
I don't know. Anyway, come and get your drinks. I'm not a good DJ. I'm really boring.
You'd have to go, it's the start of your Saturday night, everybody. I can't do it now. You've made me lose my ability to do it. Why?
Because
I was introducing a game show then when I tried it.
Because my ineffectiveness at it is contagious.
I'll do a version and I'll record a special version and I'll put it in here so you can get what I mean. But you know what I mean. It's that when you listen to it and you'll hear that. I will put your version under the music under your version.
Please feel free to use my version because I think it's a testament to terribleness.
I think it went from pub DJ to introducing the next act at the rodeo. I think, but either way,
either way,
it's all good.
I imagine
the
you
pub
can't
DJ,
understand those.
they have that kind of Saturday night, that kind of thing, don't they? So, but that's a good track for that.
Okay. In at number 22 is "Bring the Noise" by Anthrax featuring Chuck D of Public Enemy. This is a great crossover track. I really like this song. If you look at compare and contrast with Vanilla Ice up above.
No, completely. I mean, if you're going to get someone to do it with Public Enemy. And look what success they had with Aerosmith, for example.
Yeah.
That was Public Enemy. That was Run DMC. But you get what I mean. It's when it's done well.
Wasn't there a whole? Was it Judgment Night, the film that had the soundtrack, which was a big crossover with rap and rock bands?
I believe you're right. Yeah, played a lot of Gullivers, wasn't it? That Anthrax one.
Yeah, it was a cracking tune. It's just a really good rap, really good.
Yeah.
Delivered brilliantly. Number 30 is "Now That We've Found Love" by Heavy D and the Boys.
Good old Heavy D.
Jesus Christ, this was awful. To follow the previous ones with this, I was like, I can't be doing with this. Maybe I'm out of time, but I thought this was dreadful.
Yeah, it ain't good. Twee political yammering. Not my tempo.
No.
Not my tempo.
In at number 31 is "Sexuality" by Billy Bragg.
Yeah.
It's catchy one.
Yeah, not my... Oh, actually, I got the wrong song then. I was going
to say political yammering.
Now that we found love. It's not Twee political yammering. Maybe it is. But no, this one is not my tempo. Twee political yammering. The previous one was just Irish shite. But yeah, no. I've never really got into Billy Bragg. One song I like by Billy Bragg. One.
This one?
No, not this one.
Oh, right.
That's the New England one. Is that Billy Bragg? Did he do that? Or was that someone else? I don't want to change the world. Now I'm not looking for... Is that Billy Bragg?
Don't think so.
I don't like any Billy Bragg songs then.
Isn't that Kirsty MacColl?
Yeah, it's Kirsty MacColl, but it was written by... I think it's written by
Billy Bragg. All right,
yeah, I think so.
Maybe
now you're making me wonder now. I'm going to have to find out. Hang on.
You do that.
Billy Bragg, I will.
In at number 32, while you go off on a Billy Bragg search.
Yeah, it was New England, by Billy Bragg, yeah.
All right. It's "My Name Is Not Susan" by Whitney Houston.
She's right.
I mean, it is. And if it was, then critics might have said she sounded less like Whitney Houston.
Which, of course, we know is impossible, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would have, yeah.
I mean, the vocals are great, as ever, because she's a great singer, but the song is really boring.
Very, very boring.
Really
forgettable boring. R&B MOR. I'm not sure those things should ever be put together.
It's rubber more.
It's a rubber band man.
It's categorization by Yellow. This song is rubber more.
It's the rubber bear. Oh no.
Oh dear! We should have all categorizations by Yellow.
It's the scale. It's the Yellow scale. How far down the rubber bear does it go? Oh, it's pretty far. Too far, one might say.
In at number 33 is Things That Make You Go, by CC Music Factory featuring Freedom Williams.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that. Things that make you go, Yeah, it's a good track for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Played a lot in the Pier 39. Yeah.
Lots of samples in that song, isn't there?
Loads of them. I mean, it is what it is, but CNC Music Factory were always very friendly to the charts and popular.
It's a catchy tune. And even I think it's catchy. It's very catchy. They remind me, Gary will probably go, no, but just De La Soul, would that be a name check?
Same sort of vibe, I think. You're right. You're not far off there.
Number 36 is Best I Can by Queensryche.
It probably was, to be fair, the best they could do.
The Silent Lucidity lot back, if you remember them.
Yeah, unfortunately, awful bloody thing.
They prove their rock credentials here, don't they? They can rock.
Yeah, they can rock, but hashtag death of metal. Because
it's all going.
Yep.
In at number 40 is Wave of the Future by Quadrophonia. Something for brown sauce here.
They were Dutch, Belgian electronic music, so of course they're for him.
Absolutely.
I mean, that description sums up, he loves that kind of stuff. It always has. He always has.
Yeah. Formed by Olivier Abalouz and Lucien Fort. I don't know. There's lots of O's in those names. I can't pronounce it properly.
Exactly.
In the late 1980s.
Yeah. And if you think about it, Gary ate a lot of Edam and drank a lot of beer. So that explains why he likes Dutch, Belgian electronic music.
Absolutely.
He's Delgian himself. He's Delgian, isn't he? Or Butch. No, more Delgian, I think.
Yeah. And why his hair was always stood up on end.
That's the starch from the cheese. Don't do that to you.
So much starch. Especially that cheap Edam, which is Adam.
Yeah.
He was eating.
He never got to E. I'll tell you, it was just started at A all the way. Starch count was so high, honestly.
Yeah. He did like his brown sauce and Adam.
He kept his bread stiff, amongst other things.
In at number 47 is We Are Back by LFO.
Oh, I can't stand this stuff. I can't.
Acid?
Please drop this in a bath of strong acid. I hate that. It's just not, it's the version of acid, whatever, that it's too far down the road for that for me. I can't get into that properly.
It's rubber mora.
No, it's proper.
It's well down there. Let's get to the albums. Let's go through the 2nd of June. In at number 2 was Electronic by Electronic.
The debut album from them. I would never listen to it though. Not my thing.
No, I wouldn't have. In at number 3 is Never Loved Elvis, by the Wonder Stuff. They were bigger than I thought, the Wonder Stuff, so getting straight at number 3. But
it's got Kirsten McCall on it.
Yeah, if you do a single with Vic Reeves, as we've seen them do by now, they're going to hit the mainstream a bit, aren't they?
3rd album from them as well.
It is, after the bass thing had died, I think. The bassist. In at number 13 is Sea Monsters by The Wedding Present.
3rd album from them.
3rd album, yes. Produced by Steve Albini. Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
9th of June, there was in at number 2, The Fellow Hoodlums by Deacon Blue.
3rd album from them.
You remember them? You remember their other albums?
It's Deacon Blue. What? No.
No. Number 8 is Love and Kisses by Danny Minogue.
Another debut album. Of course, it's a debut album. No.
Released by MCA Records. I thought, was she not a Saw thing?
Apparently not. Apparently, well, she might have been produced by them and this released on MCA. You don't mean that it's,
right, okay.
Who knows what the dealings of it all were? But it was certified gold in the UK though, so when us suckers bought it.
Well, we were, Number 19 is Pop Symphonies by James Last and his orchestra.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, classic. No, it's not good. It's not good even by James Last standards.
I listened to his version of Broken Wings, which is on this album. It's terrible.
Good. It's not good. It's not good.
No. In at number 25 is Ethel for Zagging. Read it backwards.
Yeah, we're not saying that.
But it's NWA. Second and final studio album by NWA.
Yep. So they disbanded.
I didn't even know they only did 2 albums.
Yeah, it disbanded, and this is after the departure of Dr. Dre. So, of course, and he went on then to form Death Row Records, and then all sorts of other stuff came along, and obviously the rest is kind of history after that, isn't it? They went on to amazing things in their own ways.
I should know that, because I've watched that documentary series. It was on BBC Two, I think, a couple of years back.
Maybe you weren't facing the right way when you watched it. That has happened many times.
I was watching CBB One. It's like in a mirror. Number 27 is Body to Body by Technotronic.
Second album, by some
Second.
miracle. I know. Who knew they had enough material?
They
I didn't
didn't.
know
It's the same song again.
I didn't realize the synthesizer had that many presets. But there you go, they did. Anyway, it all sounds the same. It's got Move Your Body on it. Move That Body, which sounds like Move Your Body, which sounds like all the others.
Yeah, Move a Body.
Yeah, there's a song that's called Work. Come on, people, let's work. They all sound the same thing.
I don't want to know. 16th of June is in at number 4 is The Big Wheel by Rudrig. The 7th.
Yeah, from the Scots Celt band. Okay.
Yeah. In at number 5 is Slave to the Grind by Skid Row.
Yeah.
Away with you and your ass zip flies.
Your trousers are too tight. You've got a zip on your ass crack. You'll go a long way.
Absolutely.
But they didn't, unfortunately. It did well. It did double platinum,
this did
didn't
very
it?
well,
2 million.
double platinum. You can't argue with that.
No.
You could argue at number 10, though, this is The Promise by Tapao.
Yeah, they'd lost it by now, surely.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you a single song off this or anything.
Well, they disbanded after this album, shortly after its release, so expect a best of eminently, I would have thought.
Yeah, they went to pow and exploded. In at number 15 is The Mix by Kraftwerk.
That's a good album, that is. So it is. It's a bit of an odd thing because it's rearranged versions of other songs they'd already released from Autobahn, Electric Cafe, and Robots, which is, I'm guessing, where that version of the Robots that we saw came from, that we saw last.
Oh, yeah,
last
more
one.
than likely, yes.
And also in 1990, they'd made a return to the stage following a 9-year hiatus from touring. They regard The Mix as a type of live album, even though it's not live, because it captured the band's continual digital improvisations in Kling Klang Studios.
Kling Klang.
I know, it's a good name for their studio, though. Totally. But again, we spoke about Kraftwerk last time. Just a ridiculously influential band. So.
Yeah, really massive. In at number 25 is Superstition by Susie and the Banshees.
10th album.
I know. You've got to give it up because the songs aren't good now.
No, they're not. They've lost their direction. They've lost the mojo. They've lost the thing.
Yeah.
Artie Fufkin's looking after them now.
Polymer Records.
Polymer Records. Artie Fufkin. Artie Fufkin, Polymer Records. It's him who's looking after them.
I think he might be. In at number 26 is Heart in Motion by Amy Grant, her 9th studio album.
I thought it was like she was new and it was one single she'd released in the last one, and now this is her 9th album. Like, wow, okay, I massively underestimated how long she had been recording for.
Christian singer-songwriter, so, you know.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, songs mingled with Christian values. Okay. I expect versions of He's Got the Whole World in His Hands on that. Went 5 times platinum, though.
They will do those kind of albums.
Yeah, it sold more copies than the album by Skid Row by quite a factor.
Well, it just shows you, doesn't it, that, you know, if you sing nice Christian songs, people will buy it and you get lots of money.
Exactly, yeah. 5 million copies.
Which I'm then sure she gave back to the poor.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah. In at number 43 is Raw Melody Men by New Model Army.
I don't know what to make of them by this point. I'm totally out of the zone.
Yeah, this is their first official live album.
Okay.
Recorded at the Town and Country Club in 1990, but I've never heard it. 23rd of June, straight in number 1, Love Hurts by
Yeah, we
Cher.
spoke about that, didn't we? Yeah.
It is the 20th album. Number 10, Stars Crash Down by Hue and Cry.
I could find nothing about that online other than to Discogs. So
Yeah, you're lucky. In at number 12 is see what they did here? For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge by Van Halen.
Yeah, often abbreviated as Obviously.
Yes.
9th album from them. It's got Sammy Hagar on this one. It was a big, massive hit, and also the main single off it, which was Right Now, was also a big hit as well. And it's probably worth watching the video. It is a bit preachy, though. I didn't realise how preachy till I rewatched it.
It's very preachy. It's a good song, though. I'd never actually heard it before.
This is a good song right now. Unusual for them, but it's that direction they were heading, and whether you like it or not, I don't know. Just put the video in the show notes, go and have a listen. If you like it, you will.
Indeed. Number 19 is Chicken Rhythms by Northside.
I never really knew what to make of this. Apparently he's used in the theme tune on Granada's Soccer Night.
That tells you all you need to know.
Did you watch Granada's Soccer Night? I suppose you would do if it was Granada, would you?
Granada, no. We'd have had a Yorkshire Soccer Night.
Yeah, no, they didn't use Shall We Take a Trip in the Moody Places from Northside on the soundtrack for that, did they?
What would they have used? Probably
really odd.
Probably the House Martins, weren't there?
Yeah, actually, yeah. It's happy hour again. It would have been weird on a football show, but okay.
What other big Yorkshire bands are there that they could have had back then? They could have had Thingy, couldn't they?
Def Leppard.
Oh, Def Leppard. Yeah, Def Leppard's a good one. Or, Don't you want me? No, I can't.
Human League. Yeah, Human League would have been a good choice, actually, yeah.
Yeah, or want Throbbing Gristle from around here.
They probably were.
I think they're from Sheffield, weren't they? I think.
Yeah, so from somewhere where they make steel, I think. So probably.
I think so. I'm going to have to look at that now. Throbbing
Gristle. From Scunthorpe.
Yeah, they're from Hull, Kingston upon Hull.
There you go.
Throbbing Gristle.
There you go.
So just use a couple of tracks by them. In at number 37 is Baby by Yellow. Seventh
album. Yeah, amazing, isn't it, what you can do? I just think that I don't remember Gary raving about that album as much as he did the Flag. Was it the one? Something Flag was it called or something? But
something or other. I don't know.
Yeah.
When he used to talk about Yellow, I just used to glaze over.
You did, actually, yeah. It was quite unnerving, actually. It's just watch you develop a sheen.
I was like, oh.
Just don't touch him for a good half hour. He's not dry.
Absolutely. I needed to be inked afterwards. I needed my crevices highlighted.
Oh, God. That's so gross. He dry brushed himself and then he was inked.
That's a horrible serial killer film waiting to happen.
Oh God, yeah, dry brushed.
He's glazed them and then he's dry brushed them to death. The Warhammer murderer.
God, they don't upset the Warhammer fans. They're a massive army and they'll come at you with really slow dice-ridden moves.
Absolutely, but only if the attack ruler is long enough to reach me.
Yeah.
Anyway, number 38 is Love and Life by Definition of Sound.
Another one I couldn't find much about the Love and Life, the album. I found out about Definition of Sound, and I didn't. And I wish I hadn't. Of nothing interesting much there really.
Finally, 30th of June. In at number 7 is Holidays in Eden by Marillion.
No fish. Hashtag no fish.
No fish. Yeah. Number 17, Electric Landlady by Kirsty MacColl.
Here she is. So she's back.
She's back.
Yep. Okay.
Number 37
Third album.
Third album, Extremely Live by Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, no.
Look at the Draw by Bonnie Raitt. Riot is it number 38?
Yeah.
Bonnie Raitt.
11th album.
I know. I've heard the name, but I don't think I could tell you anything ever by them.
No, I'm the same. I don't know much about Bonnie Raitt, really.
The reason I think I know the name is because I would have been looking for albums by Rush, and it's so it's like why I know like Run Rig and stuff like that, where I recognise the name.
Yeah. It's in that, as you're flicking through, oh, Bonnie Raitt, there we go. I used to get the same with all the things in Halloween section, I'm looking at I've never heard of them before, but... Yeah,
but the names stick in your head, don't they? It's like when you see them, you're like, oh, that's why I know that name. Finally, just to round off the month, number 56 is Unusual Heat by Foreigner. That's an unpleasant title.
It is a bit.
Unusual Heat.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a... Doctor, can you help me? I've got a bit of unusual heat. It's like, where? Don't want to know.
Yeah, my heat's gone a bit oddly unusual. I don't know. I only really like the songs I like by Foreigner, and I don't know much of their other output. So I certainly don't know 7 albums worth. So
God, no. And that's it. That's the music. Some odd stuff in there. A couple of good tracks now and then. Not much in the way of albums. We're going to go away after that and see if we can become some kind... Yeah, that. We're back. We still got 2 games to play. Gary Lineker's going to make a comeback, and so we'll see you after the break. And we are back. Let's 2 more games for this part.
Yeah.
Let's waste no time. The first game, this is I Play 3D Soccer, said Gary. I play 3D soccer. Okay. 3D soccer. And technically, I suppose things like international soccer and stuff like that are technically kind of 3D. You know, they have depth on the pitch, not top down, I suppose. Because you can move up and down into the thing. They're kind of that 2.5D. But this is 3D soccer. 3D soccer on the C64. This is I Play 3D Soccer from Gary Lineker. No, it's actually from Simul Mondo.
Okay.
And will cost you 1,099p.
Whoa.
This is all the way from Italy, basically. This is a weird company, something that we've never seen before, but I've been pumping stuff out. It seems like a lot of... There was a Zapped Italia, wasn't there? But I think there's quite a lot of C64 stuff in Italy that we never saw. This part is part of that, I think. The producer here is Francesco Carla. The coder is Nicola Ferrioli. That's it. It's their first game on the system, but they will do an updated version of this with I Play Football Champ, which looks to add some more elements to it. And they'll also do a game called Dylan Dog, The Murderers, which we will actually look at because it's in issue 87. So we'll see what that turns out like. Dylan Dog, The Murderers. The graphics and title screen are by Ivan Venturi. They've done quite a few games. None that I recognise, though, because most of them are by Simil Mondo. Like I said, they're clearly making loads of sports games in Italy. Just never made it over to the UK. So we never made it to pages of Zapped, so we haven't looked at them. But finally, we've got one of those. So before I get into this, I found the manual for this, right? And I want to read you a section from the manual, right? Okay. I'm just going to read this out. This is the intro to the manual. It's from the Amiga version, and it says the controls and stuff are in different bits. But anyway, part 1, I play. Dear Similmondo friends, it is my pleasure to speak to you of yet another milestone on the ever-evolving road of our interactive and simulated partnership. We at Similmondo have decided to call this milestone I Play because the player, the I, has a fully subjective perspective of the game, and therefore I becomes the actual sports person, the real actor in the game. I Play, the new game given to our latest line of interactive simulators and to Similmondo's exclusive technology, means that the interactor, you, will be able to move about freely and play within new simulated worlds and experience all the fun and emotions which Similmondo has sought to create for you. For us, to simulate means to create simulated worlds, fully equipped for the maximum in interaction. If they are sports worlds, then there have to be fields, players, equipment, and rules. We're keeping the locker room doors open for you so that you may enter into action. Simulated fields are waiting only for you.
Okay.
Okay, Mark, what's his face from System 3? You got nothing on this. Because it gets better, all right? Because after that in the manual, prepare yourself for this, right? This goes on for over 2 pages of text in just a solid block with barely any paragraphs. This just goes on like this, and it just goes on like this. So, okay. Thoughts on the game. 3D Soccer is the first simulator of the iPlay line. It originated in our imagination almost 2 years ago, i.e. late 1988, and took 18 months of hard and compelling work to turn it into a reality. iPlay 3D Soccer is the first soccer simulator. If any of you would like to know the difference between a simulator and a video game, please feel free to write to Simimondo Sat for the newsletter. As I am certain that all our readers and players know the difference, I shall continue where I left off. What I would like to describe to you is what I feel while playing a simulated match of iPlay 3D Soccer. Needless to say, we can't all feel the same things. I can only hope that the best emotions will be the same for everyone. Here goes. I'm sure that you've loaded the program on your computer by now. Remember, the loading procedures change according to the type of computer you have. For detailed loading instructions, please refer to part 2. We are now looking at the icon menu. My favourite choice among all possible selections is one human player against 63 electronic teams. Or I can play with an opponent, remember his Amiga friend, on another team, or with him on the same team. My tournament is a kind of gigantic World Cup. I usually include Italian and the best European teams. You could use the teams which are already entered into the simulator, or you can give your own names to the teams. My tournament will be made up of 6 matches, including the playoff. All 6 matches must be won in order to take home the simulated World Cup. In iPlay 3D Soccer, rounds are played just like in actual World Cup championships. Opposing teams play 2 games. And in the case of a tie in the second game, extended time is played. The penalty kicks are allowed if necessary. In the case of tie goals, visiting team goals count double. The final match is played up for a single encounter. Here, too, when regulation time has been played and the match has not yet been decided overtime and penalty kicks are given. The game may continue until the tie is broken. First by it just goes on like this. The referee's about to blow the starting whistle. I'd better return to the simulated field. I've decided to play for Italy's Inter from Milan, and I'm going to start by simulating Inter's team colours of blue and black. Powerful centre Mateus, number 10, being that in iPlay 3D Soccer, it's possible to set game time by speeding up or slowing down real seconds. I've set my game time at the actual 45 minutes. 45-minute halves, regulation length. There's the starting whistle. The match can begin. Playing has started. I can almost hear the sounds on the field. I can hear the ball being kicked and the sound of the ball on wood when it hits the post or cross. And it just goes on. Over 2 pages of this. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, what is this? But it just, I was like reading it. I was like, good Lord. I wasn't quite sure what to make of this. But anyway, it's back to the game. So there's a loading screen to this, which is an approximation of the front cover, which we will probably look at the end of these 3 episodes. Before we get to the main menu screen, from the start, we can pick 3 languages, Italian, English, or German. And it's well presented here. A little flag appearing for each country as you move between them over the world. It's quite nice. Once picked, pressing fire takes us to the team selection screen. All these options are shown below 3 images at the top of a screen. There's an incredibly muscly man heading a ball. He's got that man's jacked.
Yes.
And there's the logo for the game, and then there's a silhouette attempting to take a free kick whilst the world burns behind the goal. I don't know. Odd images. The team selection is from a massive font, and although there are something like 60 odd teams to pick from, only 3 can be seen on screen at any one time. You have to scroll through them. We can pick how these are controlled out. You can only do one game here. There's no leagues or anything. So they can be CPU controlled, single player controlled, or 2-player controlled for co-op footy. That's kind of good.
Okay.
If you pick 2 teams for player control, then it's a 2-player game, and I'll get to how that changes the viewpoint a little bit later. There's a big go and CLR at the top of the teams. Once happy, press go. Takes us to the options. And if you're not happy, press CLR, it closes the selection. As per the instructions, these options are go and CLR again. There's a stopwatch, there's a shoe, there's a head, and there's a man. That's what the label does in the instructions. Stopwatch allows you to change the length of the game. Shoe is the difficulty. Head is the number of players you control. The number of the player, you control. And man is the colour of your team's shirt. Once happy, pressing go starts the game. So if you've picked to play 2-player versus, so 2-player versus or 2-player co-op, then the game is presented in a split screen fashion with both views running independently of each other. Quite impressive, I have to say. Single player gives a full screen with a rather redundant commentator at the top, who sort of animated, but sort of says not really needed. Now, the first thing you'll notice as the game starts is the viewpoint. So this is not seen from the top, a la Micro Pro Soccer. It's not from the side, a la International Soccer or Emlyn Hughes. This is actually from behind your player. This is a 3D football game seen from the perspective of your player. I don't think we've seen anything like this.
No.
Not really. So the pitch stretches out before you. In the distance is the goal, and the other players can be seen. They're in perspective, sprite scale in perspective, getting bigger as they get close to you. It's that sort of look. So on the right of the screen, there's a proper overhead radar view of the pitch, which is handy. Shows all 22 players and where they are on the pitch accurately, and where the ball is as well. This updates with the action. Then below that is the game info. It shows the half you're in, so first or second half, time played in that half, and then the score below that. Also in the top right corner is an arrow pointing up or down, which indicates who has the ball at this present time. So it's up if it's you. So if your team has got the ball, then it'll be up. If the opposing team has the ball, the arrow will be pointing down. If there's no arrow, the ball is loose. No one's in control of the ball. So the 3D action takes up most of the screen. When the whistle blows to get things going, it is actually surprisingly fast. You run about with 8 ways, controlling your player, and the game plays around you at an impressive speed, I have to say. This is not particularly slow. It's fairly fast. Controls are relatively simple. There's one awkward one thrown in for no good measure, though, which I'll come to in a bit. So, as I said, you can run around in 8 directions. Now, if the opposition have the ball and you are close enough to their player, within 3 meters, it says in the instructions, pressing fire does a sliding tackle in the direction you're running, so in either any of the 8 directions. So you may miss the ball completely, go past them. You could foul the other player if you go through the back of them or something, or you might actually pick up the ball. It's typical sliding tackle. Once you have the ball, you can run with it. If you press fire, this passes to the nearest player. If you hold it down and there's no one too close to you, it just boots it in the direction you're facing. If you are near the opposing goal and hold down the fire button, then a square appears in the goal itself, and you can move that in increments, and letting go of the fire button will aim at the square.
Yeah.
So you want to move that away from the goalkeeper and let go, and it shoots in that direction. That is predicated on your player's sort of attacking skill, which you never kind of know, but if you're playing attacker, it's better. And also how far you are away from the goal, whether you're running, things like that. So that's that one. If one of your team has the ball, then you can call for it, but you do this by holding down and pressing fire. Remember, you only control one person in this game. You control a single player. So you have to hold down and press fire. And I don't know why you need to pull down to call for the ball, because just pressing fire when your team has the ball doesn't do anything. No. So I don't know why just have the fire button call for it. It just seems an odd extra control that I can't quite get my head around. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason for it, but I couldn't figure out what it was. But you have to be careful when you do this, because they will just pass it to you. Obviously, if there's an opposition player in the way, they're going to nick it and run off with it. If they're too far away from you, you're unlikely to receive it. So you have to play to your strengths. You've got to watch the ball, get in close, and if you want them to pass you, make sure you're clear. And the rest is football. The game plays out as you would expect with throw-ins, corners, penalties. They all work as they should do, only with you controlling just the one player. It's a bit different, this. There is one drawback to all of this. So this was released also on the Amiga and the ST. And the 16-bit versions are actually quite impressive because they rotate the camera so you can run in all directions.
Yeah.
You can look all the way around, and it's actually pretty impressive. I'd never seen these before, and I actually watched a game of it, and I was like, that's quite impressive for an Amiga and on a 16-bit because you can look in, spin that camera all the way around, run all the way around and stuff like that. And that's quite cool. The 64 version doesn't do that. It's always just facing towards the opposing goal. So you can't spin the camera around or anything like that. So this makes the view in this quite restrictive. So you've really got to try and utilize the arrows and the information on the radar view, which is why that's kind of handy that it does actually represent the game, because you can sort of spot where the where the ball is. You can get used to it. There's also a really nice touch in this, in that all the players on the pitch, they'll be looking in the direction where the ball is. Yeah. So if you look where their heads are, you kind of get them. All right. So if they're all looking sort of forward, running towards you and they're looking to the right, you kind of get the impression that the ball's behind me and to the right, or to the left or in front of me. If they're all running the other way, you can kind of figure out where the ball is just by watching the other players where they're looking. So that's quite a good touch as well. And I like that sort of thing. So you can know where it is. And like I said, the overhead view actually works, but it does leave you chasing around blindly at times because you only have a limited view of the pitch in front of you. So you can't look behind, you can't see that. Which obviously for defending purposes that's not great. There's some atmosphere to the game. There's a low level sort of crowd noise that sort of along in the background. It sort of rises when the attacks happen and goes when a goal is scored. And that's kind of the sound effects. There's not much else. There's a boot of the ball and some, the whistle of the referee's whistle and stuff. The visuals, though, beyond the players, it's like a flight simulator. You've got a block of green and a block of blue. For the the grass and the thing. There's some white lines for the markings and the goals, and they do move as you run towards them, and you get the impression the goals get bigger. The players themselves, they're a little blocky, but there are a lot of them on screen at any one time, I have to say, and and they sprite scale quite well, and it runs pretty fast, even in two players. Because in two players, you get different views of the game. So you can play a full two-player game, and you can play cooperatively, both facing down the same pitch. If you're playing opposite ends, you'll see different ends, and it'll draw it well. There were no issues, actually. There's no flickering or slowdown that I saw. Technically, this was pretty impressive. There's no leagues or cups to go for that I could ascertain. I couldn't find anything. It just seemed to be a one-on-one game. I don't know if you could select every. Maybe if you selected every team, maybe I did. I never tried it though, so maybe that's it. I'm not quite sure. But it did tell me at the end of every game, it tells you that I won a cup, even though I lost, which was odd. Said, well, I was playing as Liverpool, and Liverpool lost like 3-0. And it went, hey, the European Cup is won by Liverpool. I was like, hey, that's great. I lost the game, though. So obviously, there may be hidden, if you select all the things, I just never thought to do it. I just don't, there's nothing that I could see which made me think that there was any kind of leagues or anything. So I'm not sure of the longevity on this one. This is an interesting and technically quite impressive take on the genre. Obviously, the bigger and more impressive 16-bit versions, with fully rotating views, show what's missing. There is a sequel to come. We'll see what that adds if we get to look at it. I'm not sure. But it's one of the more interesting, impressive football games we've seen in a while. It doesn't entirely work, but I played quite a few games with a bit of perseverance. I was able to get my head into where the ball was and see what was going on. Because obviously, I'm probably going to put more. I like football, so I may be a little bit more forgiving of this. But whilst when I got into it, I was able to put some decent moves together, passing, running into space, calling for the ball, getting them to pass to me. I scored a couple of goals, and I thought it was quite satisfying. I thought, actually, this is quite interesting. I applaud the attempt here, and it's probably the best you could do on the C64 trying to put this. I don't think you could do the rotating view. It would slow down to a nightmarish crawl. But it's not to knock here what is a technically pretty impressive game. I think in 2-player, especially co-op, this would have been quite good fun to play. You'd have had a bit more view of the pitch if you could see both players' thing. And it got 80%, and I can see why. A little more around the edges in terms of cups and competitions. You'd have another pretty decent football game on the machine. I didn't mind this once I got used to it. I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was quite impressive. But just a final addition to this, in 1997, Namco make a game called Libero Grande, initially for the arcade and then the PlayStation. And it bears quite a similarity with this, especially the 16-bit versions, because you control one player in that and it's behind and you're running around calling for stuff. Obviously, it's got the stadium and stuff and it's got the power of the PlayStation and everything behind it and the Namco arcade board at the time, which was doing Soul Edge and things like that and Tekken. So it's got that behind it. But in terms of what it looks like, that Amiga version looks very similar. And I don't know whether it drew anything for this or whether it was just that kind of similar ideas percolate through at certain times. But yeah, it's certainly an idea that was tried later on. I think you can actually do these kind of like be the footballer in like FIFA and things like that, where you can actually have the viewpoint from behind the players as well. So this is an interesting technical, experiment that kind of almost works on the C64. But if you go with it, if you put the other versions to mind, you can play a decent game of footy. Yeah, I quite enjoyed this. I was quite impressed. 80%, yeah, I'll give it that. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought I was actually quite impressed with it. Now, I don't generally go for sporty games like this, but it reminded me of we had an American football one that tried this kind of 3D view, as I recall.
Yeah,
and that was pretty good as well for the same sort of reasons. It's quite nice viewpoint to play it. I quite like the styling of it. I quite like the information I was being given about where things were. The pitch view actually was big enough to make sense of. Things were running around. It ran at a nice pace, didn't it? You was able to play a good little game of football. It was unique, a bit different. We haven't seen anything like this before, have we?
Nope.
And I quite liked it for that. And it did run around at a nice pace. It's an odd angle to play the game at initially because you're so used to the kind of top-down view that we've kind of got taken for granted a bit with, Micropro Soccer and things like that, and obviously the later Amiga variations, the sensibles and stuff. That this view comes along and it's quite nice and refreshing. It's not dissimilar to the way that sensible soccer evolved into sociable soccer in that kind of taking it to that view. And this is kind of a good evolution of football games, I think, on the system. I'd never expected to see anything like it on the C64. And I'm not so sure about all of the hyperbole around the iPlay system and everything else. But that said, could you play a good game of football in it? Yes. Was it a little bit different? Yes. Was it tactical? A little bit, yeah. And so I quite enjoyed it. I thought the weird-faced, of course, the football announcer guy at the top was a bit odd. He looks like he was having problems. He was like,
but playing Great Gurianos.
Exactly, yeah. Him aside, there's a lot to like here. A very purple game, a bit expensive, but a good, unique take of a football game. So I thought it was quite good. And I got a lot out of it now. Did I get as much out of it as some of that might be into football? Probably not. But what I played, I enjoyed. And I just thought, what a refreshing take to come to try it like this and to actually pull it off, I think, on the C64. Because why not? It worked pretty good. When I was running forward with the ball, I actually genuinely felt a little bit of sort of tension and it really had pace. And that was quite nice. We played so many football games that hasn't had that it was nice to have that kind of sort of approach. I quite enjoyed what I played and I didn't even know it existed. So this was kind of a nice little bit of a refreshing alternative take on a football game on a system that's kind of played every dimension of football except this one. So now we've finally got this one. I'm quite impressed with it. It was good. Yeah, I liked it.
Cool. Yeah, I thought it was all right. I was quite pleasantly surprised because when I first booted it, I was like, oh, this ain't going to be good when I saw the screenshots. But actually, in motion, this is all right. Yeah, it's pretty good. There we go. That's Gary Lineker's I Play 3D Soccer. We like it. Let's move along. We've still got one game to talk about this week. And I Play 3D Soccer got 80%. Predator 2 scores similar, Graham. Is it just as good? Tell us all about Predator 2.
Predator 2. $10.99. So same price as I Play 3D Soccer. Like you say, 78%. Published by Imageworks, this. Coded by Paul Porter. He was the only game he was credited to in Lemon.
Oh, okay.
And the graphics are by Herman Serrano. He did Savage and Weird Dreams.
Oh, okay.
And also Paul Walker. And he did Ikari Warriors, didn't he? So that's pretty good.
yeah.
Now, I didn't make a note of who did the music for it, strangely, and I don't know why. Let me just correct that. I'll have a quick look, just because we need it for completeness, don't we? It's not going to be too difficult to do. So the music was by nobody, because it's not credited. That's probably why I didn't write
it's
it
not.
down.
Yeah.
Okay. The music's just by a person, all we need to know. So Predator then, Predator 2 even. The sequel. We spoke about the film, didn't we, in the last episode? We liked Predator 2, although it had moments where it was really boring and not much happens. Predator just wanders around, kind of just watching a guy do stuff, for a large percentage of that film. But it says here in the mission, and I've got the blurb from the Amiga version, the C64 manual, I couldn't track it down, but I did find the Amiga blurb, which is the same, because it's the same as the Spectrum blurb, so... Los Angeles, 1997. It's the hottest summer on record. Pollution is choking the city. Rival Jamaican and Colombian drug gangs are fighting the police for control of the streets. Okay, same premise as the film there. You are Detective Lieutenant Mike Harrigan. Now, the wording of this has been typed out by someone who clearly was typing quickly. I'm just going to put a streetwise LA cop who is determined to see justice prevail in a city that is being destroyed by the terrible consequences of drugs. It is your job to take charge of the situation and bring an end to the street war as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, as bad as things already are, they're about to get worse, much worse. A special FBI team assigned to the case cooperate with the FBI. Sorry, a special FBI team is assigned to the case. Cooperation with the FBI is expected from your own Captain Pilgrim and his supervising officer, Deputy Chief Heineman. These are all names from the film. The FBI knows something else is out there, something more deadly than all of the drug lords put together. Something silent, invisible, and alien. Sorry, silent, invisible, invincible, and alien. Only it's not invincible, is it? Stupid to say that. It hunts man for sport. It collects human skulls as trophies. It can take out men armed with machine guns, spelt with a mash. Machine guns that fire potato mash, I guess. Machine guns by hand, and it has now entered the battle. The following information has been gleaned from various top FBI reports. And then I'm not going to go much further with that because it just details what happened in the film Predator. Okay, so insert the stuff that happened in Predator. The game then, your objective, fight your way through the drug lord's HQ and apprehend the leader for questioning. You will receive backup when you archived your objects. That's the objective for the level. There's, I think, 4 main levels in this, each one with a sort of an objective, such as it is. And essentially, this is, think of side-scrolling target games like Operation Wolf.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. It's basically an Operation Wolf you like, really. So there are, like I said, there's 4 levels that are described on the instructions. Level 1 is the streets of Los Angeles. So you've got to basically work your way through the streets of Los Angeles. Level 2 is the penthouse apartment, where you've got to work your way through the penthouse apartment. And there's an objective. It says the FBI know who is responsible for the killings. It's basically following the plot-ish of the film-ish. By means of following it to the right a lot. And then the level 3, the Los Angeles Freeway. Special FBI team is onto the Predator, and so are you. 2 members of your own police team have been killed by him. Now you're on his trail in LA subway tunnels. Okay. Handy that you're doing that because you need to slowly scroll sideways and shoot at things in there.
Yeah.
And level 4 is the Thought House, where you've got to slowly scroll sideways and shoot at things.
Is that to the right?
And yeah, it's slowly to the right. And then that's it. It says the aim of the game is to survive through all the levels and finally confront the Predator on his own territory. Only then will the ultimate hunter emerge. This is terrible. Hunter emerge, spelled AM. Hunter emerge victorious. I don't know. And then there are a bunch of playing tips. All right, the game is basically Operation Wolf. Only it scrolls left to right, I think, or right to left. I can't remember now. Actually, it scrolls one of those directions.
It scrolls left to right.
Yeah. And essentially, the idea is principally the same as those games. Okay, so the game starts with a Predator 2 writing at the top of the screen. Did yours display an image of the Predator? Because mine never did. Just said Predator. I saw an image on the blurb in Lemon, but I didn't get that image when I loaded mine in. Don't know why. Just didn't get it.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I think I saw it.
So anyway, there is an image. I didn't get it, but there is one because you can see it in Lemon. But it got the Predator 2 right in. It's copyright, obviously, 20th Century Fox, blah, blah, blah. Then if you press fire, it jumps through like 2 screens like super quick. I'm like, wow, what happened? So it sort of skips a little bit quickly. There is, I think, some image and then some text appeared. And when the text appears, it says, 2 motorcycle cops accidentally stumble into a drugs bust and are wounded in the battle. Harrigan must apprehend the drug gang leader in his HQ. Unfortunately, a predator enters the battle and begins to stalk Harrigan. His name's Hannigan, for a start, isn't it? I think it's Harrigan or Hannigan. I can't remember.
I think it's Harrigan.
Is it Harrigan? Is it Harrigan or Hannigan? Is it Hannigan?
Hannigan
begin again.
Let me look it up.
It might be Harrigan. I think it is Harrigan. Anyway, so this game, it was released. This game was released on DOS, Amiga, Atari ST, Commodore 64, Spectrum, and Amstrad. So once you start the game, you are presented with the following. There is a UI of sorts, which contains a police badge on the left, the number of bullets.
It is Harrigan.
It is Harrigan, yeah, so they're right. There's a number of bullets you have displayed by a row of bullets, a score at the bottom, and the current weapon you are holding is on the right-hand side. The main bulk of the game is a scrolling background landscape of what looks like various different shops in the first level, but it's meant to be the LA streets, and they are akin-ish to the environment as described in the instructions. You are a translucent green outline at the bottom of the screen.
Why? Remember him?
I don't know why, but I'll come to, I think, why in a moment, actually. But in this context of this game, it makes no sense. And then you are assaulted by a series of random characters that appear at the screen. Scaling is off the chart wrong at this point. So some of them are big, some of them are small, some of them wearing what looks like no clothes. And I'll tell you what, some of them run on the screen and they face forwards, and I think they're meant to be shooting at you. But to me, it looked like they were masturbating at you, which is a bit unnerving. So you want to shoot. It's really weird. They do look like they're kind of masturbating. So they run on. They start jerking off. So you shoot them quickly because it's not very nice. And they're at the kind of. So they run on, and they do look like they're naked, but they run on, and they sometimes crouch down, and you have to shoot them. Now, depending on what weapon you've got, will depend on the rate that the bullets are going to shoot. Obviously, so you've got to sort of move your target. You move your target reticule around with the joystick, which is never a great thing in these games, but you do that. And the idea is you sort of spray bullets around and shoot these enemies. So some of them will appear at the top, some of them will appear in the middle. Those are weird little blue-headed pink monkey dwarfs. I don't know what they're meant to be.
The ones in the middle?
Yeah, I don't know.
No
They're blue-headed pink monkey dwarfs.
I don't know what's going on with them.
Anyway, and then also periodically you'll see characters that you're not allowed to shoot run around. That is a Latino woman. I don't know. It's a woman. It doesn't have to be Latino. They've given it that designation.
In the instructions, it just says, don't shoot the Latin ladies.
It does, yeah, I know, but you wouldn't know they were Latin. I mean, there's no way of knowing that. They're just ladies, really. But okay, don't shoot the Latino ladies for whatever reason. I mean, don't shoot them. And there's also a few other characters you can't shoot in there. You're not going to know, though, because no real. And the Latino woman, maybe obvious that you don't shoot that one, but it's hard not to shoot at things because the way that the target reticle moves with the joystick, when you're moving around, and the way you spray bullets, it's next to impossible to be accurate with it. You can't. There's no accuracy in this. You are just spraying bullets around. Now, periodically scrolling on because you're floating along to the right in this, so your green outline is just sort of floating along, which is stupid. And periodically, a new weapon will appear, and it's labeled badly, which says Mark 1 or whatever. You'll pick it up, and you'll get a machine gun or a rocket launcher, which immediately fired the rockets, and you only ever seem to get one.
Yeah.
But it just blew everything up on the screen for a series of elongated explosions. Just prolongs the scrolling to the right.
Yeah, that's some proper expanded sprite usage there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not great. Meanwhile, the scrolling continues. The enemies come on. You get little bullet boxes, which you shoot to increase your bullets. You'll get extra weapons. You'll shoot them. You'll start shooting a bit faster. More naked men will run on and gesticulate at you and do unpleasantness. More blue-headed pink monkey dwarfs will appear and shoot at you. They'll shoot bullets. You can shoot the bullets out the sky, which is weird. And then sometimes a guy runs on really close to you that looks like RoboCop, and it just looks like he's trying to hump your leg. It's like, I was like, oh God, shoot him. It's really weird. The perspective's really weird because he comes on quite close to the screen. He's the same height as you, which means that the monkey people must be really small, or the guys at the back must be massive because they're as tall as you are, but they're at the back. So scaling is off the chart stupid. Meanwhile, the backgrounds are not varied. Giant slabs of colour with a bit of shading to try and give it the look of grey columns. That horrible angled paving that they do in these kind of games. It's just, I hate that effect. So it's just got this sort of really jaunty angled paving across the back. Then it's grey, which is the road. It does change, obviously, as you progress through. You'll get a level that's more, there's steps and a little bit of background detail, but nothing too exciting. When you get to other levels, there's one level that's just all brown. It's all brown, and there's way more dwarfs in that. Way more dwarfs and more RoboCops that appear. It's a confused game, really, because even later on when you get inside the spaceship, it's like they didn't know what to draw. So it looks like they've just drawn giant millipedes on the wall. And loads of the Predator graphics had me absolutely howling at that point.
They're just wandering along, aren't they?
They're just wandering around these little... But they're all really small. The Predator is famous for being quite tall.
Yeah.
They're giant. They're giant. They're like 7 foot tall, maybe more. they're all the same size. They're just like, it's like a family of predators like going on a day out in the background. Like, hey, come on, off we go to the right. Meanwhile, you'll get periodically assaulted, by a front-facing predator that just looks like someone sneezed on him, and it doesn't work quite well with your outline. Now, in the earlier levels, you do get a predator in there. Every now and again, you'll see like a mini outline of something which you think might be the predator. Not very often, because the predator doesn't feature in this game really at all, apart from right at the end.
No, not really.
So, and that's the game. That's it. There's no more to be said about the way the game plays. That's all you've got to do. You float along to the right. Enemies come onto the screen. The blue-headed, pink-armed monkey men, or the masturbating gang, or you'll get a gang of the family predator on a day out, and you're disrupting that, and you've got to sort of meet your objectives, such as they are. There's no way that you know whether they're gang lords or what they are, or anything like that. This is just basically they've took the core thread of the game and made something of one tiny bit of it. There's nothing. This doesn't even follow what would have been a more acceptable format for this, which is the kind of the multi-game approach to doing these kind of licenses, which we've seen loads of times. So why they chose Predator 2, and to do it this way, I don't know. The only conclusion I could reach was that someone had mentioned in the Lemon that this looks a lot like an arcade game called Dead Angle. Now, when I looked at Dead Angle, and I'll put the link in the show notes, Dead Angle does look a lot like this. It's an old arcade game from... they did a sequel called Gang Hunter. It's a 1988 arcade shooter developed by Saibu Kashaisu. And it's that one set in kind of a gangster mobster theme kind of world. But there's an outline character at the bottom. There's a scrolling background. You have a target reticule. It looks a lot like that.
Yes, it does.
And then they did a version of that. I think came out for the Master System. And the Master System version looked a lot like Predator 2. So I'm thinking that maybe the genesis of this is that they were doing a conversion of Dead Angle, and someone said, we've got Predator 2, we need a game for it. And they said, well, we could probably bastardize a bit of this to make it look predatory by adding Predator graphics at some point. Because this feels and looks a little bit more like that kind of gangster game and less like a Predator 2 game. So I think maybe that's probably where this began at some point. So I don't think this started life out as a Predator game. I don't.
Quite possibly. Yeah.
So I think maybe this was really Dead Angle, or was I think the Master System was called Dead Angle too. Dead Angle as well, sorry, I think. So yeah, it was so the Sega Master System. I found a long play of that. I'll put that in there. You'll see, and even the arcade. That if I was to say if it was a conversion, I would say this was probably this would be a bad conversion of that game. And even if it isn't, it's blatantly ripping it off. So that's kind of what it is. So the problems with it are many and obvious, aren't they? Firstly, a waste of a license of what is, a really good license to do something of. There's so much you could have done with Predator 2 because the film was padded with lots of filmic hyperbole. You could have not done those bits. And, there's a great opportunity to have a underground bit. They could have done this like the Predator, the first game. I mean, that wasn't very successful, but this would have made more sense to have the underground sequence, a bit like that tube station game that we saw, but have a Predator in there, and you could have flickering lights. You could have made it like that. There's a whole bunch of ways they could have done it. To choose an Operation Wolf style side-scrolling target shooting type game with a reticule, it's a really cheap way of doing it. There's literally no Predator in it, or Predator styling in it. So it's a Predator game absent of the Predator. And with a film that has so many sequences where the Predator is involved that you could have made the level from, the bit in the warehouse, the bit in the underground station, the chasing the Predator at the end, any of those sequences. It didn't have to just be side-scrolling, shooting at masturbating naked people, then blue-headed pink monkey dwarfs. It didn't have to be that, did it? So what you end up with is a side-scrolling, dreary game. This is all the worst parts of Operation Wolf. At least Operation Wolf was doing a version of Operation Wolf and reasonably successful at it. I didn't like it particularly, but it was okay for what it was. But this is a really naff version of if it is ripping off the Dead Angle game, it's not even very good at that. It's really boring gameplay. The enemies just are really rubbish, badly drawn. They don't look like anything, and the scaling's off the chart weird. Your sprite is stupid. It's not necessary. Why is it even there? It doesn't need to be there. If you're going to have a game like this, you don't need a little sprite showing you which direction your target reticule's aiming at, because it's kind of obvious. And it doesn't align to which way he's looking either. So it's really stupid. Sometimes you're over to the right and he's a bit weird. There are some interstitial graphics here and there. Again, they're nondescript. They look like badly scanned stuff from probably the Amiga version or something like that. They're not very good. So what can you say? I scrolled right. I floated along. I didn't encounter a Predator. So Predator 2 is literally a miscount. Then there was the outline graphics that aren't very good. There's little to no animation. There's no Predator in it till the end, and that looks stupid anyway. The background graphics are dreary and badly coloured and not very well thought out. The gameplay makes no sense. The music was okay in it, but nothing to like what you'd expect in a Predator game.
Oh.
I still don't know why they don't do a version of some kind of sinister, dark music. Like, no, Target Renegade had better music than this kind of for those kind of sort of games than that. It's just a game devoid of the Predator, which is stupid in a game that's a sequel to Predator, and not a Predator game. At its heart, this is not a Predator game. This is literally nothing to do with Predator. This was clearly something else that was put in a Predator box, Predator 2 box. I found nothing of interest in this game. It was dreary, boring, unfortunate, and ugly to look at. And they've got the cheek to ask $10.99 for that and give it 78%. Are you having a laugh? This game was a 30-40% or all day long. It doesn't even look finished to me. So I thought it was utterly shit, and I didn't like it at all. So, but what did you think?
I don't think I'm quite as down on it as you are, because I think it's okay. So I agree. Taking Predator 2 and turning it into an Operation Wolf clone is an odd idea. I don't get it. Well, I mean, there's some gunplay in the film. There's a gunfight in the first 15 minutes, but Harrigan's not floating to the right. That's just weird.
No.
I mean, but it's really one note in it. It's lacking any kind of design. This is just move a thing to the right and have enemies come on, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's boring.
It suffers from the same enemies for the most part. They just stroll on screen to get mown down. It's incredibly mindless. Things that I think, okay, for a single load, I guess there's quite a lot. There's a lot of stuff. There's bits in it for a single load. There are some nice little graphical touches at times, like the trains in the underground level, the lights going out, things like that. That's quite nice. I quite like that. And I know there's the Predator stalking the street in the first level is just weird. It's just like this green outline, but whatever. And the last level, right, is you're trying to protect the soldiers, aren't you, from the Predator? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of turns Operation Wolf on its head. And that is the one moment of this game which I thought that's actually quite an interesting idea, where you are trying to protect the people from something else trying to kill them all. But then, as you rightly say, loads of predators just come on, and it's a family of predators, and it's just so stupid. It's like, well, this is not how the film was. You had an interesting idea and concept in that one moment, and then you ruined it. Yeah. Which is a bit of a shame. So it's quite easy as well, because there's no real thought to this. I got to level 4 quite quickly. The in-game music I thought was bloody awful. Just this high-pitched noise started appearing every now and again. I was like, ugh.
Yeah, true.
It's not worth 78% by some margin. It's not the worst film time we've seen. We've seen worse. Because there is, for 10 minutes, just spraying bullets is like, okay. I mean, it runs fine. It never lets up. It's way too easy. It's one note to be really enjoyable. I think if they'd have put, there's a bit more thought here, and that last level does offer a glimpse that someone had an idea that they just didn't have time for. And I think you're right in the fact of, like, there might have been more planned for this. It might just be was it Dead? What was that game called? Dead? What was it called again? You said it was called? Dead Angle.
Dead Angle.
Dead Angle. It's an odd name for a game. That's why I can't stick in my head. So it may just be that someone was porting Dead Angle and then they switch this into it. It's quite possible.
Feel a bit like that,
because it does look very, very, very similar in terms of tone. The green outlined guy at the bottom is a real giveaway, because that's exactly the same, and the actual look and everything of it, and I can see it being that. So yeah, it's not very good. It's probably in the 40s for me, but I don't know. Like you said, that if you are looking for a game where that idea of multi-stage different things, Predator 2 is probably a good one, because you have got some. The subway, the sections are here, but they just don't all fit. Float to the right, Operation Wolf style shooting. That's not what it is. You could have had a nice into the screen section, an actual 3D section of moving through the tube train with some nice sort of visual flashing of lights and stuff, and that could have been quite interesting. Trying to save people as the predators moving out, and you're picking some in. There's bits you could have done, but hey, it's not great. It's certainly not worth £11.
No, and that was my complaint about it. It just we've said it so many times. I mean, there's a lot of material you could have exploited into a game, but that's what's making me think that game existed already, and they just shoehorned bits of Predator into it, because that's what it doesn't look like. That was a Predator game designed as a Predator 2 game from the get-go. I can't prove that, but I don't think it was. Yeah,
it's just it's find a mold and stick the license into it. Rather than think of what the license is and then turn that into a game that will work for it. Something like Neuromancer, obviously it's a book, but they've obviously thought about it and gone, well, actually, let's try this. We can make this kind of work. This is more along the lines of what we see with Total Recall and things like that, which obviously was only done in a couple of weeks. And it wouldn't surprise me if this wasn't knocked out in a very short span of time.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's much going on here. There we go. Predator 2. I'll avoid the obvious pun for that one. So that's it. That's it for this week. We looked at 4 games. What did we look at? We looked at the really impressive Atomino, which we thoroughly liked. Clearly the game of the week.
We did? Yeah, easily.
Great Gurianos. Clearly not the game of the week.
Great about that at all. Hey, you, hey.
Then we had Gary Lanika's I Play 3D Soccer,
which was pretty good.
Which was pretty good. Yeah, unusual and good, and I think a really interesting stab at something technically impressive. And finally, Predator 2, which misguided. Just misguided.
Yeah, misguided, and probably not starting out life as an actual Predator game anyway.
I think you might be right there. I think you might be right. So that's it. That's it for this week. Next week, what have we got? We've got 5 games because there's 40. Although it said 22 games reviewed, we've got 14 new ones to look at. We've got a lot of budget titles, and there's also a couple of weird compilations that we're not looking at because I can't be bothered. So next week we've got Gauntlet 3, the final fight, whatever that is. Lupo Alberto, the video game.
Okay,
whatever that is. Moon Shadow. Still the Precious Moon Shadow. Cricket Captain. I've already played that.
Okay.
It's another one from people who own Cult. And North and South, which was the cover game. Interesting. I'm interested to see what that's like, actually, because obviously I remember the Amiga version, but I didn't know there was a C64 version.
Yeah. Again, you never know with these things. It can go either way, can't it? It wasn't a game I got a lot from on the Amiga, I have to say. I remember having it because I remember it was, like I said last time, it was hot property to try and get hold of a crack of that. And I think I ended up getting, I'm pretty sure it was a crack by Weetabix because he pretty much cracked everything on the Amiga at that point. But
obviously I did Weetabix. Yeah,
well, he or they, I don't know for sure, but they were prolific on the Amiga. I think they were SCS. I think I want to say SCS. But anyway, either way, but I remember getting it and thinking, wow, that's trade gold. That is. But never really had a lot of time to play it, and I'll be interested to see what it's like after all this time. Is it based on the? You remember there was a TV show? It was a mini series, North and South. I wonder if it's based. That was based in the same era, so it must be based on the same thing.
I honestly have no idea. I think there's a few North and Souths.
We'll find out.
We will find out. Is that the one with Patrick Swayze in? Have a quick look while I tell people if they want to support us. If you want to support the podcast and our ace research on the fly, you can do that by going to patreon.com. And that's patreon.com/Zapped to the Past. And you can sign up for that at the price of a sandwich, probably these days. And that gets you access to our Discord server, episodes early. I'm getting a nod from Graham. It is the Patrick Swayze one.
Yeah, well, that was one of them. That was the original mini-series that was on in it was on in 1985 and 1986, and then again in 1994. But that was Patrick Swayze, you're right.
Yeah, thought it was. Yeah, so access to the episodes early and advert free. You come and join us, like I said, on the Patreon. Get mentioned in the shout outs each month, and you will also get to contribute to our sort of end of year episodes, that's the podcasts and things like that. You also get discounts at zappedtothepast.shop if you want to buy any of our merch. There's also Ko-fi, ko-fi/Zapped to the Past as well if you wish to make a donation there. Everything is greatly appreciated and helps us pay for all the tech stuff behind the scenes, and it's all very, very greatly appreciated. What else? You can talk to us on the socials as well, social media, so we're active across all of them. So come say hello, come say hi. And I think that's about it. I don't think I've got anything else. You got anything else you want to say, Graham?
No, I'm still struggling with disappointment with Predator 2. So I heard good things about Gauntlet 3, actually. I remember hearing good things about that. And that's got music by Tim Follin, which is good music too. So that's got the makings of something that could be quite interesting. It's isometric, I think, as well.
Well, we'll see next week. I mean, we're 2 out of 4 for this week. Atomino and I Play 3D Soccer.
Okay.
That's not bad.
That's good.
That's a 50% hit ratio. It's higher than we've had recently.
It is better than the average that we've had. Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, so it's not so bad. And I do recommend, if you do take one thing on this, go and look at Atomino. It's very good.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
No
really,
argument there.
whether you play it, I imagine if you play it on the Amiga or ST or whatever you got it on, just go have a crack. The C64 version is eminently playable. So go have a really good look at that.
It
Really
is.
good.
It is very good.
And so on that note, I think we'll say goodbye for the week. So as ever, I have been Adrian Mills.
And I have been Graham Raddings.
And you have been listening to Zapped to the Past, and we rate on the yellow scale. Just be careful not to lunge at people in the style of Great Gurianos, because it's not going to go down well anywhere. No, don't do that. So on that note, we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zap 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZapTothe, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zapped to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zapped to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings, and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zapped to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.